districts 22, 24, 26, and 78. So it is my pleasure to be here to see what we can learn today with respect to our clubs and our members so that their experience will be enhanced. Back to you, Program Quality Director, David Storey.
Thank you very much, Regional Advisor David Woodcock. Now I'd like to invite Stephen Bryden, our Club Growth Director, to say a few words. Stephen.
Sure. Thank you, David. All I really have to say is just continue to embrace your membership journey. Of course, these Toastmasters Leadership Institutes, or these TLIs, are all a part of that journey. It's all the value add for gaining extra education, extra content, added discussion, new ideas to be shared, and new ideas to take away to try to implement to improve the club experience with your club and with your members. So I'm looking forward to the content to be delivered today and all the guest speakers that are in. So yeah, make sure you have fun. If there's opportunity, do a little bit of networking and yeah, learn as much as you can. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Stephen. And today, if you're able, I would encourage you, if you've got two monitors, open up your social site on a second monitor so that when Brittany's giving you guys tips and advice, you'll be able to look at your site and look firsthand to see if you're following what she says. And then later on, you'll be watching Lloyd as Lloyd goes through how to set up a LinkedIn site. If you have another device, you can actually follow along with him and do it as he's explaining how to. Reap the benefits of what you're learning today, because all we can do is give you the information. It is up to you as members of this district and as clubs to take action. You want to get that last member in your club so that you can get over that 8? Take action. You want to become a distinguished club this year? Take action. And I'd now like to turn the virtual lectern over to your Master of Ceremonies for today, the President of Selkirk Toastmasters, June Storey. Take it away, June.
Thank you, David. I would first like to acknowledge that Winnipeg is located on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Ojibwe Cree, Dene, and Dakota peoples, and is the birthplace of the Métis Nation. We have a wonderful lineup of speakers for you today, starting with Brittany Miller, who will captivate you for the first hour, followed by a 10-minute break. Then Doreen Roman will speak for 30 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break, after which Laurette Greenlay will be speaking for 30 minutes, followed by a 10-minute break. And then Lloyd Gwilliam has you for the last hour. And we'll wrap up with closing comments from two of our trio. A reminder to everybody that your microphone should be on mute unless the speakers open up the floor for questions. And if everyone could please turn off your videos unless you are speaking so that we can increase the bandwidth for our speakers. We do have a large number of attendees today, so we need as much bandwidth as possible. I would like to introduce our first speaker. Brittany Miller is the CEO of a boutique special media consulting, mentorship, and management business for heart-centered business owners, personal brands, and service providers called Brittany Miller Biz. She has supported over 50+ clients internationally to become visible on social media, amplify their message, and create captivating content aligned with their brand voice and values. She has supported clients from law firms to career coaches, fashion designers to professional speakers, startups to establish brands, and everything in between. Brittany is also an international speaker, providing presentations for various organizations, associations, and retreats in Canada, the United States, and Europe. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, Brittany Miller.
Thank you so much, June. And hello, everyone. It is an absolute honor to be here presenting and sharing some knowledge with your organization. Now, I know June asked everyone to put their cameras off, but if you could turn them on for just a moment, I would love to get an idea of who is currently managing the social media for your club. If you can put up your hand, I'm going to just scroll through and see. Okay, I see a few. Yes, awesome. And just out of curiosity, if you want to type in the chat, what platforms are you primarily focusing on? Are you using LinkedIn mostly, Instagram? Maybe you're using Facebook. Are you just showing up on TikTok because you guys got all the video footage in the world? Maybe we're not there yet, and that is okay. I just want to get a little idea of where everyone's at and which platforms. Facebook and LinkedIn, awesome. Anybody else, if you want to share? Facebook and Instagram have been used. Facebook, perfect, yes. Awesome. All right. Oh, yeah, more. Facebook, LinkedIn, Meetup, Facebook, hoping to begin with Meetup, perfect. LinkedIn and Facebook, awesome. So yeah, we've got a good mixture here. Primarily, LinkedIn is a big one, Facebook, Instagram, and then yeah, Meetup is a great platform to explore as well. And Eventbrite. If I know that's not a social platform, but putting on just as a reminder of what your club is doing or meeting, always a great just like little tool to use as well. Perfect. All right. I am going to dive into our presentation today. I am going to ask that if you have any questions, if you can just either type them in the chat and I will get to them at the end. One thing that's super helpful if you do decide to do that is just put like a capital Q and then write your question. And then as I scroll through the chat later, it makes it easier. But I will also open up the floor or the virtual window for you to be able to ask questions at the end as well. Now we have a bunch of information we're going to be going through today, and I'm really hoping that what I share sheds some light on how you can take the content you're doing now and maybe even elevate it to make it more captivating for your audience to help you attract those members for your clubs. And what we're really going to be talking about and going through today is the best practices for creating content. So that's going to be covering a few things. We're going to talk about content, captions, and community. Those are my 3 key areas when it comes to creating content online. And then I also want to share with you at the end couple of, or actually 5 mistakes to avoid when creating content for Toastmasters clubs. This is something that I commonly see, and I'm hoping I can shed some light on it and give you some solutions as well. Few reminders as we dive into our presentation today, but also as you start working on your social media content, is to remember social media, regardless of the platform you are using, it is a long-term strategy. So think about the efforts you are doing now. It can take about 3 to 6+ months to see your return on those efforts. So just because you start posting this week or this month, it's very unlikely you're going to get a new member next week or next month. It takes time to get your message out there and to build those relationships so people really know what your club is all about. For those of you who put up your hands for that you are managing the social media for your clubs, it takes a lot of effort and time. And consistency is super important, but consistency does not mean having to post every single day. It can mean posting once a week. And that can be enough at the beginning for your clubs to start to build that presence, because especially as a volunteer for this, social media is a lot of work. There's a reason this is my job, and I have been hired to manage people's accounts and businesses before, because it does take time and effort. The other thing is, more followers on your socials does not mean you are going to be more successful or attract more members. It's actually about building connections and going deep with the people who are currently following you and being really intentional about who is following your brand or your club online. Are they local to your community because you do meet in person? That is way more important than trying to get someone from the other side of the world if you are no longer virtual or you're not doing hybrid meetings. But if you are an international club because everything is virtual, well, now the strategy is going to be a bit different. So we want to be really thoughtful about what is our club situation and who are the type of people we're trying to build those connections with. And then the last thing is not every post is going to perform great, and that is okay. I have put posts out there myself for myself and my clients. And if you go and look at some of like the biggest names of leaders and brands online, like Tony Robbins, you will see they have content that fell flat as well. And so that is okay. The most important thing is the compounding effect of you continually putting your content out there, being consistent with your message, and knowing that if a post doesn't perform, that's fine. It's a learning opportunity for us to make changes the next time, or sometimes it's out of our control. Now let's dive into our first part, which is the 3 C's to creating captivating content. First is content. What are you posting? Then we're going to talk about the captions. What are you saying online? And then finally, we're going to talk about community. Who are you engaging with? The biggest mistake I see, and if you've done this before, please know you are not alone and it is completely fine. But the biggest mistake I see is creating reactionary content. We feel like, oh my gosh, we didn't put a post out this week, or we have an event coming up for a club that we haven't really promoted a lot about, and we just start to like throw content out there for the sake of just getting something out there. And that can be one, it could cause a lot of anxiety around social media and make it feel really overwhelming. And also then it can feel like, well, it's not working, like I'm not getting the results, but it's because we're just throwing content out there without being really intentional and thoughtful of what we are doing and what we are sharing. And again, this is common, very, something I see often when I'm working with clients and students, but we need to remember that the purpose of content is really to do 3 things. Build brand awareness, and for your club, that's building the awareness around your club. It is to connect with your followers, because those are going to be your warm leads and the people that you might want to eventually invite to become a member of your club. And then you want to attract new followers, essentially, so new clients or new members and opportunities. So we want to change our thought around what is our purpose around our social platforms for our clubs. It's not, for some clubs, it might be just to get information out to all of our club members, but our bigger strategy should be, we want to get information out so that new people discover us and they want to come become a member. And so we need to change our thought around that and then the content we are sharing. When we can create content with more intention, this can help us build like, know, and trust with our followers. And when people like us, when they know us and when they trust us, that is when they are more likely to want to join our club or be a part of our community. That is why the #1 way of marketing is referrals, when there's just already so much trust there. And social media is so incredibly powerful as well. It just takes a little longer to build up that like, know, and trust factor. And that's just something we need to be able to be mindful of as we're creating content online. So my core focus to help you build that like, know, and trust factor on social media is following these 3 core pillars. You want to create content that showcases your club's zone of genius. You want to create content that is going to connect with your followers. And then you want to create content that is also promoting and talking about your club, how people can come and join and be a member. And we want to have a little bit of a mixture of this so that it's not constantly just selling and telling people, join our club, join our club, join our club. This is our next meeting. We want to have a mixture so it is, well, this is how our club can help you. This is some tips that you can use when you become a more confident speaker. This is a story we're telling about a member who was so terrified to speak and now is the manager of a 10-person team, all because they started with Toastmasters. So we want to be creating this holistic presence online, and thinking of these 3 pillars can really help you be more intentional with your content. So let me go into a little more detail on this. When it comes to your zone of genius, so again, this is your expertise content, you want to kind of ask yourself a few questions, and you want to think of who is the ideal individual to join your club. Certain clubs have a little bit of themes to them. So I know there's some clubs that are for project managers, which is really cool. I'm part of a club that helps individuals become a professional speaker who gets paid. So if you have a little bit of a niche or a focus with your club, think of where that potential ideal client, essentially, you could say, or new member, what is their situation right now? And what kind of content can you create that's going to really help them out and give them some small wins while showcasing your club's expertise or the power of Toastmasters? So first question is, what can you teach or share? So an example of this could be how to create an effective presentation at work. So you can see I'm not even talking about Toastmasters in this type of a post I would create. I am showing them, I'm giving them a quick win, but a lot of this information I might have learned in one of my pathways through Toastmasters. I could answer a potential member or client's question. And this could be something like, maybe they're like, how do I even start networking? I'm so scared to network. Well, here are 3 networking tips for introverts. And hey, if you join Toastmasters, you can build that skill set so you feel even more confident. Or you could have a unique perspective or thought, and this can be really powerful. What I often see clubs do is they just share other people's quotes. So someone famous, a really powerful quote from them, and that's nice, but that doesn't show your authority of being a club. And so what if your club just shared a unique perspective on the power of being an effective communicator? If you want to see someone who does this really, really well, Adam Grant, follow him on LinkedIn. He just does these little, they look like Twitter style quotes or posts. And he always shares such powerful, unique thoughts that showcase him as the expert. But your clubs can do that too. So when you're creating Zone of Genius content, this is the type of things you want to think about. Now, the biggest mistake I see when it comes to creating Zone of Genius content is we feel like we just have to tell our audience stuff. Instead of showing them. So as an example, you might tell your audience, and this is something that I've done myself before in the beginning, here's an Instagram bio checklist. These are what you need in your Instagram bio. And someone might be like, okay, great. Like check username and name field. Like I have to have a profile picture, check. But like, I'm not really showing them what it should be looking like. And then when I created this post, which I shared, watch how I transform my client's Instagram bio, I literally am taking everything I shared in this checklist, but I am visually displaying it and explaining it to my followers, and it is so much more effective. So I actually walked them through what my client's bio looked like before. These were the changes I started to make. I know this is a little bit small, so if you want to see this, I can always send you all the link to look at this exact post. But I showed them the steps and I explained to them what I exactly changed and why. Like I added her name in the name field here. I added keywords. I told everyone and all my followers the changes I made to the bio by adding in a short-term and long-term transformation. And then I showed them what the completed bio looked like. So I walked them through the entire journey of updating a bio so they can see what changes were made. So much more effective than just giving them a checklist. But this is often what we do. We just tell our audience or our followers things instead of showing them. And when you can show them and they can take little wins, they just feel like, oh, I trust this account. Oh, I trust this club or this person. I know they can help me. And the stats showed, you know, this one didn't do awful, this post, and this is on Instagram, but you can also share content like this on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So I still had some good engagement. I had shares and some saves, but this one at the time when I took the screenshot, so it's probably higher now, you know, 32 saves, more shares, a lot more profile visits, people visiting my website. That's what I want. No one went to visit my website here. They checked out my profile, but they didn't come to my website, but they did here. And someone might have then actually became a client of mine because of this post. So that's the power of telling or showing your audience versus telling them with content. So think about that with your own content as well. Now, when it comes to connection content, this is the stories. And in Toastmasters, we love telling a good story, don't we? But stories, when there's some emotion in there, that's how you can really connect with ideal clients or potential members. So think about who would be a good individual or a good member for your club, and where are they at right now? They might be where you used to be and how you used to feel before you joined Toastmasters. And you can then share things that will make you a little bit relatable. Again, thinking back to kind of the core purpose or your core group and club. Again, some clubs have themes. Some clubs are for like project managers, or they might be for like actors. Some might be for women in business. And so you can kind of share things that can relate to your audience to attract them to your specific club. The other thing that's really powerful is sharing any lessons or failures or struggles. This is where you get to do a little bit of storytelling and be a little bit vulnerable. And each of your members has a story. So can you pull a story or get to know a little bit of your members better and share where they used to be and where they're at now because of Toastmasters? Or can you share an inspiring message? If you look up Jenna Kutcher on Instagram, she is all about storytelling, and it fits very well with her brand. So if you look at her, you'll see the types of stories she tells and the type of audience she is speaking to. It's very, very clear. So go check her out on Instagram, but you can do the same thing. Even though you are a club, you have humans who have emotions, who have gone through experiences that other members can connect and resonate with. As an example, I shared a story about, you know, the longest time I didn't feel like I was a good writer and how I was so scared to put myself out there. I had this experience in university, and like now I made a career out of writing content constantly for my own business, my own brand, and helping others do the same thing. And sharing that journey with other people. And it really resonated with my followers. So when you can add in those emotions, a lot of people can really connect with that. And then the last part of your content that you want to do is, of course, promote yourself. So you want to sell or let people know about the Toastmasters program or about your club. So think about if there's any events coming up, any upcoming important meetings, maybe you have a guest speaker, maybe it's just to let people know, hey, you can join our club or come and check it out for free. Other selling content that doesn't feel so much like it is promoting the club, but it's planting seeds as to what the club does and how you could be involved, is showing behind the scenes. Can you show a little behind the scenes of your club getting together for a meeting, or someone presenting their first icebreaker speech, or working together as a group at a TLI like we're doing right now? So can you show behind the scenes and share that with your followers as well? And then the other thing that I absolutely love doing is showing social proof. And you can do this as a club as well. This is before and after stories, or what I love to call client success stories. And this goes beyond the typical testimonial. So what I often see is people will share a testimonial, and it's nice to hear, but it's not really that effective. And I'm going to show you the difference between these two. So this is for a career coach. And she had posted before I started helping her out, just some client testimonials. What it said was, I completely love my resume. It's more than I could have ever expected. She worked with me diligently despite my deadline and delivered as promised. Thank you so much. That's a nice, testimonial. You might have members who have said, things similar, but about your club and about Toastmasters. But it doesn't really, with someone who reads that, they don't really see themselves in that position. It completely misses a really important part of the story. And that's where client success stories can be way more effective. So instead, what we created for this client was we walked through what a client was feeling and before they started working with my the career coach. So we shared where she was at. She felt stuck in her job. What she desired to do was to advance her career. What she had been doing was she was doing these interviews and was not getting the jobs. But after working with our career coach, she went from failed interviews to a new job with a 30% higher salary. That is already so much more powerful and makes me want to read more, especially if I'm like, I currently don't like my job. I'm looking to get out. I've been applying and it's not working. I am more likely to be like, well, what did this Pam career coach girl do for Bianca that it worked? And so we take them through the story of where they were at before, how my client helped her, and then what was the end results. And you can do the same thing as well. So this type of content and post, it's called a carousel post on Instagram. You can also upload it as a PDF with just your different design slides on LinkedIn, and it becomes a little carousel post as well. And you can do the same thing on Facebook. And these are so powerful. You can also keep it really simple because I have the design the exact same for each template. I just, change in the words and it's easy to read. And again, it's so much more powerful. So do you have any client success stories or member success stories that you could turn into something like this versus just a testimonial? The other things, as I mentioned too, is, sharing and showing some behind the scenes or promoting your club. So doing a post where you're just like letting people know, hey, this is how you can join the club. These are what you can do when you're part of our Toastmasters club. This is what you can learn. So we got to do a little bit of these, but this is a really good mixture of content that is going to be really planting the seeds of how people can start working with you or or be interested in joining your club. And remember, this is a journey. It usually takes 3 to 6 months for someone to see this content and then start to feel comfortable and then to take action. So that's why we want to start now, be putting out a mixture of content. It's truly going to make a difference for your presence and your club's presence. So your action items, especially for those of you who are managing the social media for your clubs, is to take a moment to be like, okay, what kind of knowledge can we share that's going to give our followers quick wins? And again, think about who are we trying to target? You want to create content for that person. Then you want to be like, okay, is there any stories or posts we can share that's going to help us connect with those followers on a deeper level? And then what kind of social proof, success stories, behind the scenes content can we create and share as well? Now, this takes time. So you might want to go spend the next month putting together some content ideas, getting all of your photos, footage, designing some graphics, and then start posting. Because if you can set yourself up for success, you're more likely to be consistent then. So that was the content piece, which is a huge piece, of course. But the content, which is, your pictures and your designs, is really only one part of it. On social media, we of course have our captions. Now, as I said, social media, I always thought I wasn't a good writer. And if you also feel like you're not a good writer, or any of your members feel that way, social media was made for you, because this is the place where you want to actually be conversational online. You don't want to sound like you're using these really big terms and as smart as possible. You want to make it sound like you are sitting across from a friend, having a coffee and having a conversation with them. And that's our goal with any piece of content or caption that we write. So I want to just show you an example of what someone had shared with me, and she gave me permission to be able to share with others. This was a piece of content she put out. So a video, which we don't actually know what this video is about because there's no hook or headline on this video to let us know. And then she wrote her caption here. So her hook here, this is her first sentence. She said, "This week I answer Henry Julian's question, who asked." Now, Instagram and a lot of other social platforms will only show you so many characters, or just your first sentence. So if your first sentence here is not pulling me in, people are scrolling right past. And for me, because I don't know who Henry Julian is and I don't know what this video is about, I'm probably going to scroll right past this piece of content, unfortunately. She shares some information in here about what she's going to be talking about. And then she has her final sentence here, which I'd like to call your call to action. And so I'm going to go through and break this down a little bit further, as well as the caption writing framework you'll want to look at using. So take a screenshot of this, or like photo or something, but this is the framework you want to follow when you're writing captions. You want to have a hook, which is the enticing first sentence to pull you in. You want to make sure you have paragraphs so it's easy to read. And a paragraph in the world of social media is not the same paragraph in the world of writing a book or writing a paper. Paragraphs on social media are literally 1 to maybe 2 sentences max, no more. Because if you add any more, it looks like a really long piece of text on your tiny phone. And just for people to look at that, they instantly disengage. So you want to keep your paragraphs really short. If your club or it feels aligned with your business or your brand, add in some emojis. That can make it even easier for people to read. Your last sentence here is your call to action. And that is how you're going to encourage engagement on this post. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And then you want to, of course, have some keywords and hashtags, and this helps your post get discovered. Now, I have a whole training that breaks down caption writing even further, but in today's training, I am just focusing on the hook and the call to action with you today. But I just wanted to briefly talk about this whole framework. So let me dive into the hook. The hook is your first sentence, and we want it to be scroll stopping. If it's not, it's very easy for people to just continue on, because there's a lot of content that is pulling them and trying to get their attention. So I want to show you a few basic hooks I've seen and ways that you could turn it into a scroll stopping hook. And I also want to show you how I changed Sarah's first sentence too. So an example is 5 ways to boost your engagement. I have used this myself. And then this takes practice also. Hook writing takes a lot of practice, but I did get better. Then I changed this to steal my strategy to skyrocket your engagement on Instagram. Now, the reason this is a lot more powerful than this one is a few keywords. I am telling my audience that they can steal my strategy. So I'm telling them I have the solution for you. I have a strategy for you. And I'm telling them how it's going to solve one of their problems, increase their engagement. So versus this, here are 5 ways to boost your engagement. Here, I'm telling them the solution I have. I've got the strategy, again, to your problem to increase or skyrocket your engagement. So here are some other ideas. How to become a better leader. I've seen this one a lot on social media. And that one doesn't necessarily speak to everybody, But how about this? 3 surprising signs you are micromanaging your team. Ooh, okay. Some surprising signs. And if I'm like, ooh, I do not want to be a micromanager, this might really pull me in. This could be for someone who's a business owner. Cash flow is king when running your business. Yep, having cash is good. How about if you want more high-paying clients, this is the most important video you'll see all day. Again, I'm telling them I understand and I see your pain point. What you want is more high-paying clients. I've got the solution. Watch this video. And then again, Sarah's example. This week I answered Henry Julian's question, who asked, versus conflict at work, here's how to address it like a true leader. So much more powerful. That's what that video was about, because then I watched it and I was like, oh, she's talking about conflict at work. That's what she should be telling me to pull me in, especially if I'm a leader and I'm like, yeah, we have conflict at work. I need a solution. This is the problem. She's got the solution. So again, with the content you're creating, especially with that educational type content, do you have any hooks that will clearly indicate that there is a problem or a desire that your audience or ideal member has, and that you have the solution for them? So as I said, hooks are really, really tricky to write. So if you want, I have a freebie that you can download. It has 40 hook ideas, and I break them down into categories and strategies. So you'll see some of the hooks are better if you're writing connection content. I have some hook ideas for when you're writing those selling content pieces or to promote your club. And then of course for educational content. So take a screenshot. I'll also put this up on the screen at the end, so in case you didn't get it this time. All right, now the call to action is the other super important part of your caption. And this is what encourages your audience to engage with your content. So if you're hearing crickets on your content, it's likely because you're not telling them how to engage with you. And you would think it would be obvious, but it's actually not. People are really busy, so they'll look at something and just scroll on by. If you tell them to like it, or if you tell them to leave a comment, they're more likely going to do that then. So as I mentioned, a call to action is the last sentence, and it's really that invitation to engage with your content. You want to invite your audience to, engage with your post, or you want to tell them what to do next. So let's say you have a special meeting coming up or a guest meeting coming up. You want to tell them to go click the link in your bio, or if you have the link in your comment or something, to then sign up. Otherwise, if you just have the details about it up there, they don't know what to do next. So you have to literally guide them and tell them in your caption what next steps you want them to take. And it is typically found as the last sentence, as I mentioned, in your caption. And it truly is the best way to get engagement. If you don't tell your followers how to engage with you, as I mentioned before, they're not going to. People are really busy, no matter how obvious we think it should be. So here are a few engagement examples. Leave your favorite emoji below if you agree. Probably wouldn't use this one on LinkedIn, but great for Facebook and Instagram. If you are doing an Instagram post, save this to refer back to later. People can save your posts on Instagram. You could ask them, which tip are you going to implement next? Ooh, I want them to comment. So I'm going to ask them, what tip? Let me know in the comments. Liked this post, share it to your story. So I'm asking people to share this Instagram post, or you could just say, share it with a friend if you're sharing it or posting it on Facebook or Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn. And then you could encourage them to tag a friend who needs to hear this or who might find this tip valuable. And then the last one, and this is what I would have encouraged maybe Sarah to do, is say, found this helpful, follow me for more. She really wants to show herself as that leader. And so, hey, follow me for more if you found this leadership tip helpful. So you could do that for your clubs as well. And again, if you would like to take my 30 call to action cheat sheet, feel free to scan that QR code. And again, I'll have that on the last slide, but I'll just give you guys a moment just in case. And then, yeah, you can just kind of put the information in on your phone. So your action items moving forward is to look at the captions you've already written to see, did I have an enticing hook? Did I have paragraphs? Did I have emojis to make it easier to read? Do I have a call to action to encourage engagement? And did I include keywords and hashtags to help my content get discovered? As this can be a whole training on its own, but hopefully this will just help you get a little bit of a framework moving forward. Now, the last thing is community. Remember, on social media, people are still people. Even though they're behind the screens, there are humans behind those phones. And building those connections online, whether it's with a new potential member or even a client, it is similar to how we would build a relationship or connection with someone in person. That takes time. It means we need to nurture the relationship. We need to get to know the person. You wouldn't meet someone one day. If I just, was at a networking event with all of you in person today, I likely wouldn't meet you and say, hi, my name's Brittany, not ask anything about you, but all of a sudden start selling my services to you. That would be such a turnoff of an experience. The same is true online. So if all of a sudden you meet someone and they start following you and your club, and now you're instantly asking them to be at your meetings, that can be like really forward and it can actually turn people off. So we want to nurture those relationships and we want to be mindful that this is a journey to kind of build up those connections, that trust, to then invite new members to come to our meetings. You might see some people get a little bit more eager. You have to feel it out a bit. But we don't want to just like jump in and start selling to people. We want to remember they are humans. Like, how would we want to be encouraged to come to a new meeting? The other thing you want to remember is a large following. As I said at the beginning, it's no good if those people aren't engaging with you. And it's also no good if those people live in South Africa when your meeting is happening in Manitoba. Like, you got to be mindful of like what makes the most sense for your club to help you determine what is success for your club with social media. And truly the goal of social media is to have those followers be really intentional, good potential followers that might want to become members. But our goal is to have them become members. Or if you're a business, anyone who's a business owner here, convert them into customers and then have them be loyal customers and advocates. So we really want to build that community. Now, what this can look like is it's literally just virtual networking. So this includes spending time commenting not only on your, replying to your own comments you've received on your content, but go and comment on other people's posts and content as well, and answer questions that they might have. Spend time engaging with the people who are already following you instead of always feeling like you got to get new people. So spend time liking and commenting on their posts. And then make sure you leave meaningful comments on, especially on accounts that could be good potential new members or new leads. This is a lot easier to do on Instagram, I find, and LinkedIn is pretty good as well. It's a little bit more tricky on Facebook, but you can still use these strategies across any platform. You just want to be a social person on social media and add that human element to it. So let's say someone sends you a message in the DMs about your club. Let them know, like, hey, this is Brittany here. I am one of the members of X club, and I'm here to answer any questions you have. Like, add that human aspect and element to your group online. So I just want to quickly go over leaving meaningful comments, because this is the difference between your content and your account getting discovered online, and also just kind of not being discovered or coming across in not the right way. So meaningful comments is truly reading someone else's caption that they've posted on social media and leaving a really thoughtful comment. What would you say to that person if they just told you that story to your face? So what I've seen is like something like this is so good. You know, I love using my computer to engage on Instagram. This person clearly read my caption, and then she even shared her own thoughts and what she was doing. Like, it was such a nice comment. And I think her and I, we kind of ended up following each other on social media, which was really great. Whereas this is another, you know, a thumbs up comment. Like, I don't even know how to reply to that. So like, thank you. You know, sometimes people will just say like, great post. And you're like, okay, thanks. It kind of ends the conversation. And it makes it hard to feel like if you feel like you don't know how to respond to that, then it means it likely wasn't a great comment. So that's something you want to just be mindful of as well. And this is just an example if you were to include engagement as part of your social strategy, which it really does make a difference. But it does take some time. And I would encourage that this be like a shared effort for clubs, just because it does take some time. I would say your main focus should be creating that good quality content first and writing those captions, and then building the community aspect afterwards, just because it can feel like quite a bit. So feel free to take a screenshot of this as well. And so those are really the 3 most powerful C's to create captivating content online. So it truly is your content. What are you posting? We chatted about that holistic presence online, zone of genius content, connection content, and selling content. We then also talked about your captions. What are you saying, but what is the framework of that caption? Do you have that hook? Is it easy to read with paragraphs? Do you have a really engaging call to action that's telling your followers what to do next or how to engage with your content? And then the third part is spending time engaging with your community and being a human on social media. I just want to quickly finish with the 5 mistakes to avoid when creating content for Toastmasters clubs. And the first one is depending on one person to do all the work. I truly think we need to change the way we think of social media in our clubs. And this needs to be a shared effort, or we need a little social media team of like minimum 3 people, because it is a lot of work. So depending on one person, and that's your PR person who is also supposed to be promoting other aspects of your club, putting together posters, like that's a lot to put on a volunteer. I know I was asked to do the PR for our club and I declined. I was like, nope, I know how much work social media is and I do that full time and I'm going to not do that for a club unless it was a team. So truly think we need to change our thought around that. The other thing is posting posters and using that as your content. No. Posters are great if you're going to be going out and putting them up at like a cafe or around town, but on social media, this does not work. You would want to turn this into a carousel post. So that's the one where it's this little snippet and slides instead, or have the details of this in the caption and have a really enticing photo instead. So that's something to be mindful of. Forgetting who your audience is. I found this Toastmasters club and they were sharing Toastmasters tips. And I was like, well, if I'm not a Toastmaster member yet, these are actually not helpful for me. So we need to think about who is our audience and are we creating content for our audience? So instead of a Toastmasters tip, it should be a leadership's tip, or like how to get promoted at work, or like how to speak up when you're an introvert in a group setting. Like think about where your audience is and create content for them, not for your Toastmasters members, unless you have unless your social media is specifically just for content for your club members. Like that's a totally different strategy then. But if you're trying to get new members, then this is not helpful content. So be really mindful of who your audience is. Busy graphics or stock photos. So I seen this was posted on one and it was just like too much happening here. So again, this would be better broken down as one of those carousel posts. And also stock photos don't perform well at all No matter if you're a Toastmasters club, when I'm working with clients and they tell me all they have is stock photos, I say, I'm not working with you. You need to have your own footage. So go get a brand photo shoot. It just does not perform. So those are things to be mindful of as well. You've got humans in your club, so get photos of them or get photos from them. And then the last thing is just not understanding the social media basics. And that's can be what happens when we feel like we're creating content and we're not getting the success we want. And it could be just those minor little tweaks that need to be made, such as, you don't have a hook in your caption, or you didn't ask your audience to engage with you. So learning and understanding some of those basics can be super powerful and really helpful, not only for you as an individual who's creating the content, but for your entire club's success. And so I just wanted to briefly share that I do have a program that helps people on that. But if you want to learn more, please reach out to me for that, or you can scan this QR code. This really helps give the foundation. But also, if you want that 40 hooks cheat sheet or the 30 call to actions cheat sheet, you can get all those details here as well. All right, so I just want to open the floor. I know we covered a ton. And for some of you where social media might not be where your focus is, you might be like, well, that went over my head. But for those of you where you're like, this is what I'm doing, I really hope it provided value. Are there any questions? I just want to check and see if there's anything in the chat. Oh, yes, we got tons of questions here. Yay, perfect. Okay. Okay, when you watch this later, use your camera to read the QR codes. Yes, you can totally do that. Yeah. Brittany, can you post up the QR code again so members can get the, oh, yes, I can. Here you go. Connie, is there such a thing as too many hashtags? So depending on the platform you are posting on, yes, on Instagram, it will only allow you to use 30 hashtags. If you try to use 31 hashtags and you hit post, your caption actually doesn't ever show up. I had that mistake before. Just sometimes you're like putting in your hashtags and you miscount. And then I hit publish and I'm like, why is like, there's no caption there. What is going on wrong? And that is why. So there is such a thing as too much hashtags. There's also a strategy around hashtags that is specific to different platforms. As an example, on Instagram, they are moving more towards keywords. So the hashtags you want to use, you want to make sure that it is showcasing what your brand is about. You want to make sure it's talking what content you're sharing. You want to make sure it relates to that specific content. So let's say you're talking about, I keep coming up with like communication tips for introverts. So let's say you have a post about that and it's like leadership tips for introverts or something. And then all of a sudden I do a hashtag like, car or something related, because I'm like, oh, I want to get in front of men or something because I want them to see my post. If I don't have a car related to that piece of content, it will actually, Instagram will intentionally move it down and people likely won't see it then. So you want to make sure your hashtags relate to that type of content. So you'd want to use like introvert tips or leadership tips, communication tips, public speaking tips, or something like that. There is truly a strategy around, there is some thoughts and ideas around hashtags for sure. On LinkedIn, I would use probably like 5 to 8 hashtags. That's usually seems to be around the good spot for that. And then it is on Facebook, you can use hashtags as well. And I usually stick to around 10 to 15. How do you handle if members change their minds about their likeness being online? Example, if a club puts a meeting on the club's YouTube page. So you definitely want to get permission from anyone before you post any photos of them. So what you could do is you could say hey, if our strategy is to be putting content as a club online and you're a person who's not comfortable with your photo being shared, like let them know them to please like turn off your camera then, or like take screenshots where they're intentionally not in it. Or you could also like take a screenshot of your entire screen and have like a happy face emoji covering their face. There are some ways around that, but you definitely want to make sure you have permission before you do anything first. I hope that answered your question, Patrick. Let me know if it didn't, or if you want me to clarify anything else. How do members overcome their shyness about having their presentations spotlighted on social media? I think it's a big mindset thing. And that honestly, social media is a lot about mindset. And so if we can change our approach to when we ask our members about this and just say, hey, we want to celebrate you, or this is such good practice in showing your voice and building your confidence if we can share a little snippet of your presentation online. So if we can kind of like come into an approach of like, we want to celebrate you, we want to help you and showcase you, that can help. It is a little bit of practice too, especially if some people aren't comfortable with being on social media, and we do have to respect that. So that's completely okay. So ask their permission first. And again, that's the approach I would take. I would try to kind of go with a more like, we just want to like really celebrate you. We're so proud of you. And it might be baby steps and being like, well, can we share your presentation, but maybe not you in it or something like that, and just a snippet of what you're saying. So you could kind of come up with different strategies around what that could look like. Don't forget that in a Zoom world, you can advertise for other members to also join your club. We got 3 now dual members as a result. Yeah, like exactly. The power of Zoom, honestly. There's clubs that I'm a part of now that I would never be able to be a part of if it wasn't for Zoom. Question, how do we make posters? Canva is going to be your best friend. I don't know if anyone has heard of Canva, but Canva has pre-created posters and social media caption templates to help you get started. And you can just put in your brand colors or your club's colors. So I would encourage you to explore Canva. If you need help navigating Canva, YouTube is awesome. It can have like answer all your questions for sure. Janet, what are hashtags? Oh, hashtags are like a whole other training topic, I would say, but essentially you can use a hashtag as so I like to kind of use the analogy that in the world of social media, all the content that is being shared, it almost needs to be filed into folders, and a hashtag will help file that content into a folder in a way. People can look up and follow hashtags, and then your content gets discovered. If your hashtag does not relate to that piece of content though, the algorithm can tell. Social media is like crazy advanced, like they have where they can like scan your picture to see what's in it and see like, oh, there's a dog in this photo, or a person or a woman. And if your hashtags don't necessarily relate to whatever your caption says or your photo, then it really does knock its ability to be seen by other people. So that was a really quick description of it. Susan, I'm not sure how much time we have. Is it okay if I keep going through the questions? Oh yeah, I think I'm almost done all of them, but if you need to stop me, just let me know. Is this PowerPoint available for us after so we can refer back? I believe so. I believe the recording is. You should be able to look at it that way. Hashtag, yes, the pound sign is a hashtag. Yes, that's right, Lloyd. I like how you broke the work down to 30-minute bits of time during the week. Is that realistic? Sometimes I think it takes way more. Yeah, so that's for the engagement part, I believe I was talking about. But it does take longer. So what I like to do, I actually have in my Soulful Content Collective, I go through an exact framework for how to create your content. And we do this thing called task batching. So we will like spend time planning content, and then a different day we would like write the captions, and then a different day you would like do your graphics and schedule it. And then it's like 3 days out of the month you have your content done, but you're only spending like an hour of each time doing it. So I do break it down that way, but I go through it in depth in my program. Task batching is amazing. Like, go look it up. It is so powerful. The whole concept behind it is if we keep switching to do different tasks, it takes us 2 times longer. So if you try to like design a social media post from start to finish, such as brainstorm the idea, write the caption, design the graphic, and then schedule it, it will take you 2 times longer or more if you follow that process. And it's true. I used to do content that way, and I was like, this is taking me like an hour and a half for one piece of content. Like, what is going on? And it's because my brain was switching to between too many different things. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Patrick, would a verbal confirmation be enough for permission for likeness? I would, with your members, you can always have them like sign potentially like a form. That can always be really good. If it's so tricky with like, I guess, clubs, and in that sense, for me as a like social media consultant, I would say like you probably want them to sign something. When I work with clients and we're trying to get like their customers permission to share something, a photo of them online, we definitely need them to sign. We can't just take a verbal confirmation. So I would, my part of me has to say like you would want to get it signed, but I'll leave that up to you for sure. Okay. Any other questions if anyone wants to come off mute? I hope this was helpful. I know we were sharing a lot. Brittany, we are a bit ahead of time. We have about 10 minutes. Oh, good. Okay. I was like rushing through the questions. I guess because we started early, because I was like looking at my timer and I was like, oh, I'm almost on my time. Have them sign a release form for the year or as per event. Yeah, that's what I would do just to be safe. I would have them sign something for sure. Oh, perfect. Yeah, Toastmasters has the photo release and video release form. So I would definitely use that then. And you can explain it to your new members when they join and your current members as well. And even invite some of those members to be involved with it, like see if they want to be a part of helping you create your social media. Yay. Oh, Jenna, you're so welcome. I'm really glad you found it to be helpful. Also, please connect with me on social media. I am on Instagram at brittnymiller.biz. LinkedIn, if you would like to just connect on LinkedIn, please do so. Also, if anyone feels inclined to leave a recommendation based on your experience from this event and the training, I would so appreciate it, especially as someone who is moving more towards that professional speaking realm. So that would be so greatly appreciated. But of course, I also want to connect with all of you. Good. Yes, Connie, I'm so glad that it felt like it was confirming some things that you're doing. And it's good practice. I know that honestly, that is so helpful because often in the world of like creating content for social media, we can be like, am I doing it right? Especially if this isn't your zone of genius or this is just something you volunteered to help out with. And so I'm really like just getting that confirmation from someone else or to get that guidance to be like, okay, I am on the right track. Like it's going to just make you feel so much more confident when you start posting and showing up on social media. Okay, Shelly, yes, I can repeat the term about focusing on tasks. So with task batching, this is totally what I like to focus on. What that means is we want to be focusing on one specific task at a time. And we want to try to put as many similar tasks that we would be working on and do those same elements at the same time. So as an example, if I'm doing some research or brainstorming or planning, I'm using a certain part of my brain that I wouldn't necessarily be using if I was doing like graphic design or video editing. Like that's a whole other creative side of my brain. And so when you create content and even in your own like work life, if you can have similar tasks batched together, you'll be a lot more efficient going through all of that pieces of work. So how I like to kind of task batch certain things is if I'm doing research for social media, I may also reply back to emails, or also because that's kind of similar. Like sometimes when I'm replying, I find like also researching is similar in a way. So my brain's not switching between too many things. When I am like caption writing, I am in like super focused mode. And so I do not want my emails dinging and bothering me and distracting me. I am not going to go design graphics or anything because again, I'm going to be using a totally different part of my brain than when I'm writing. So if I'm caption writing, I might also do like if I'm doing a blog writing post that day, or if I have to write a newsletter out to my like email list, I'll kind of batch those things together. And then when I am like designing graphics for clients or for myself, I do that all just like around the same time, just because again, if I'm switching between caption writing and graphics, I'm using two different areas of my brain and it will just take way, way longer. So that's kind of the really quick version of what task batching is. And you can definitely use it in the way you create content. So don't feel like when you create content, don't try to do everything all at once. Don't try researching and designing your graphics and writing the caption and then finding the hashtags. It's just going to take way, way too long. Oh, lost my sound. Oh, Harry, it was just my computer. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Lloyd. And Harry, thank you for unraveling the world of technology, which is new to everyone. You're so welcome. Shelly, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if that clarified. In my one training, I literally have it like broken down with examples of like, this is how I would task batch. And you only need to do that. Like when I create content for myself and for my clients, it usually takes about a week out of the month, but that's because I'm creating a lot of content. So for you, if you're just doing like 3, 4, like let's say you're doing 1 post a week, that's 4 posts in the whole month. You could probably get that done in like a couple hours, broken up across a few days. So yeah, just kind of ask yourself like, how many posts are we doing as a club every week? And then you can kind of figure out how long you need for each task, but plan out your content in advance. It's going to save you so much time. Amazing. Oh, so good. I'm going to just post in the chat. I'll just share my LinkedIn in case anyone wants to connect there. More than happy. And then, of course, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can always send me an email as well. I'm just going to put it to everyone in the chat. So connect with me on LinkedIn, and then I mostly hang out on Instagram. Instagram is kind of my favorite spot, but I'll also share that in case anyone's also on Instagram. I also share a lot of like tips, ideas as well. And then, yeah, if anyone has any questions about social media, platform specific or strategy specific, feel free to email me. My email is there we go. And if you're interested in learning more about social media for yourself, maybe you're a business owner, feel free to reach out about the Soulful Content Collective. I'm more than happy to share with you some details on that. I think that's everything. Yeah. Oh, one last thing. If anyone is a part of associations who you think, or like a company who you think this could be of value to them, please like feel free to refer me. I would actually, that would mean the world. I love doing trainings like these. So if I can just pass on tangible, helpful social media knowledge to anyone, please let me know. More than happy to be able to get connected with that person. All right. Thank you all so much. Yeah, I will pass it back to, I guess, is it Janet? No, June. June. Yes.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
You're so welcome.
We will be sending you a thank you gift in the mail for our appreciation of your time and presentation with us today. So if you could, I believe David sent you an email, David Storey. If you could give him your address, that way we can send you that off through the mail.
Amazing.
That would be perfect. And
you.
you did a fantastic job with your speech. I was so impressed with how comprehensive it was. You broke it down so simply that anybody could have followed that.
Thank you. That honestly means the world, because that's my goal, just to like simplify it and make it easy for anyone to be able to understand. So thank you. I really appreciate that, June.
And we appreciate your presence here today. Thank you. We will now take a 10-minute break. And I will call you back at 1:25. All right. Thank you, everybody. Please, when you come back, make sure your videos and your speakers are turned off unless you're a speaker. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. All right, hopefully everybody has returned. Our next speaker is Doreen Roman. She's a DTM and is the president of Flin Flon Toastmasters. She's been involved with Toastmasters for 14 years. Doreen wants to become more involved with the district as she feels it is now time to give back to Toastmasters. She is the club retention coordinator on the club growth director team, which involves working towards retaining members and finding club coaches. Today, Doreen will talk about club coaches and the benefits a club could have with a coach. She's also hoping that some Toastmasters will step up and volunteer as a club coach. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, Doreen Roman.
Thank you for that great introduction, June. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll do a bit of a screen share here. Like June said, I am here to promote club coaching and hopefully obtain some coaches after this presentation. So please bear with me. Here we go. So as June said, I am been involved in Toastmasters for 14 years, and now for me it's time to give back. This year I am the club coach coordinator as well as retention chair for District 64 on Stephen Bryden's team. I've thoroughly enjoyed my year so far. Club coach is a very interesting part of this program, and I've learned a lot about club coaching, and I would like to share that with you. I've learned and the changes that have come about since July. So first off, there have been changes to the club coach program, as I said, since July 1st of 2023. They've improved it so that it'll strengthen the Toastmasters program. I like the changes I've seen in the club coach program. They are quite interesting. It is all outlined in the new program on the website here at the bottom. And I'll just show you a bit. So you have your club coach program. You don't have any problems, like you'll have all kinds of help getting to becoming a club coach. Any questions in that you need answered, it's there. You can contact myself. So the next thing are the duties of a club coach. So first of all, the club coach should try and build a rapport with the club officers and members. Then a club coach will instill enthusiasm, camaraderie, and structure within the club. The coach will assess the club environment and recommend the best practices for success. They'll work with the club officers to develop a club success plan and motivate the club to strive for distinguished club program recognition. Myself personally, I am a club coach right now for Island Shore, and I am thoroughly enjoying myself. Actually, we've come a long way since I actually first started. I was supposed to start coaching them in May, but the way the program works, it was best that I start after the new year. So I started actually coaching them in October, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm learning lots, and yeah, it's been good. So benefits. Now, everybody likes benefits when they do something for someone. So some of our benefits as a club coach, you will develop team building skills. You'll expand leadership experience. You'll increase your proficiency as a facilitator, negotiator, or problem solver. You'll develop diplomacy skills, share expertise, invest in future Toastmasters, and also it will earn you a credit towards your DTM. So those are some nice benefits to becoming a club coach. So how do we do this? What do we do to become a club coach? Do we have resources? Do we have supports? The answer is yes. And now I would like to share these with you. First of all, though, there are challenges. It's not always easy as it seems. There are challenges, and that's the way life is this day and age. So this first one is so true for me. Club coach, you don't know what to do. That's how I felt when I started. What do I do as a club coach? How do I coach this club? What do I suggest to them? I wasn't sure. So that made me even more nervous about doing this program. But I said, well, we'll try and see. Club officers feel the same way. They don't know what to do, or what the club coach is supposed or should be doing. They just have this extra person at their meetings, which I know for Flim Flon, because we also do have a coach, and it's always nice to have that extra body at a meeting with us, a fresh set of eyes on how we run our Toastmasters meeting, and that he's given us some very good pointers on that. So it's good to have. Club officers expect club coaches to do it all. For myself, being a coach and being an officer, I don't expect that. I expect that the club coach and the officers build a relationship, that they can work together and bring the club up to good standing, or to improve, to work for the distinguished club program. I'm sorry, I am so nervous right now. But anyways, I'll muddle through some more for you. Club coaches. Clubs are getting coaches multiple years in a row, because what happens is when you coach a club, you coach it for 2 years, but I'll go into that more later on. We're losing clubs, and it shows in District 64 that we have lost a couple of clubs already. Club coach agreements would end too early, but records would not get updated. I believe that's another reason why this club coaching program has changed a bit, because the records weren't updated. District leaders didn't know how things were going, and it takes too long. Club coach can be a 2-year commitment. Again, I'll get into more of that in a few more slides. So our new club coach program. First of all, we have this club coach program module, which is now compulsory from TI for us to do if we're going to become a club coach. As I showed you this before, this is what our program looks like on the website. We have an overview, eligibility I'll get into, and steps for achievement, and helpful resources. So, eligible clubs. To have a club coach come to your club, you must have at least 3 members, but no more than 12. And in District 64 right now, there are 46 clubs that have at least 3 and no more than 12. So in other words, we need some, I would hope people will sign up to become a club coach to help these clubs obtain new members, become distinguished clubs. It would be awesome. You have to have at least 1 club officer who has completed the club coach program training module. I remember when I was checking out in July or August about the club coach, because I'm learning this new job, this new position that I'm helping with, and this training came up all of a sudden, and I decided, well, maybe I should take this training to see what it's all about. And I did take the training, and it's awesome. It helped me immensely. So I wasn't so nervous to sign up to become a club coach. It's a lot of benefits to that, that's for sure. And an eligible club, they can't be suspended or closed. And also they do not currently have 2 coaches appointed. In other words, a club can only have 2 coaches at one time. So the perspectives for coaches. So coach has to be a paid member in good standing, have not been a member of the eligible club for at least 6 months. So in other words, they can't belong to the club and coach the club at the same time. They have to have been a member for Toastmasters International for at least a year. They have to have served as a club officer for an annual term or 2 semi-annual terms. Have completed a minimum of level 2 in a pathways, or an advanced communicator bronze, or an advanced leader bronze. And this one, as I said before, you have to have completed the club coach program. I just want to mention that if you decide you want to do this and are trying to get through this club coach program, if you're having problems, please contact me and I will help you, because you can't, they will not let you complete the program until you've passed the program. I figured that one out. It took me a bit because I had to go back and redo a few questions myself and get the proper answers. And then I received my certificate that I had finished this program. So yeah, anybody has problems, just let me know and I can help you with it. The appointment process. So you come to me, you tell me, oh, Doreen, I've decided I want to become a club coach. What happens is, I don't just say, oh, you're going to go, I'll use Flim Flon as an example. Oh, so you're going to come and coach Flim Flon. And you show up and Flim Flon says, well, basically, what are you doing here? That it doesn't work like that. What will happen is I will contact Flim Flon and say, so-and-so would like to come and be a club coach here. So the club members would vote to obtain the coach before the coach is even appointed to the club. And then you have to identify. So the district leaders assist clubs to identify potential coaches. So we have a list. I have a list of potential coaches, and I have a list of clubs that want coaching. And right now it's pretty slim. The club officers would meet with the club coach and sign the coach's agreement. Being online, this would happen through email. But what I would do myself personally, being the club coach, if I have a coach and a club that want to meet, I would set up a Zoom meeting for them. The three of us would get together, or four, if the club growth director is available, we would get together and we would talk about if it was a good fit for the coach and the club, and then all documents would be signed. Request, the district director will send out the signed club coach agreement to world headquarters, requesting that the coach be appointed. And the appointment, if all eligibility requirements are met, world headquarters processes the appointment and notifies the club, the coach, and the district leaders. To date, there are 3 coaches in District 64 at this point. So a person needs steps to continue. Just like anyone else, a club coach, there are steps for achievement. So you have to have at least served 6 months. You cannot join the club during their appointment. When you're done and your club you're coaching reaches the Distinguished Club program, you can join that club after, if you so desire. The club coach must abstain and complete the required forms. So your first report, your preliminary report, is due within 30 days of the appointment. The second report is due every 60 days thereafter. Your final report is due at the end, when your club coach position is done, and they give you a maximum of 2 years to complete. That's when the club receives its DCP. So following the 6-month term, the coach club must achieve distinguished or better status by the subsequent June 30th. So in other words, to get the full 2 years in coaching, because this is why I didn't start coaching in May. I started after July 1st. So I will have the opportunity of the full 2 years to coach the club that I'm coaching, to help them get to their distinguished status or better. So it's really in favor to start at July 1 if you can. But if you wanted to start now, I'm not going to stop you, because like I said, we have 46 clubs that are in need of coaches. If they want, they have to decide that for themselves. So to receive credit, the club president or the officer delegate of the coach club must notify world headquarters in writing. So after all is said and done, for the coach of Flim Flom Club, because I'm the president, I would write world headquarters and tell them that this coach has completed. And we have completed the requirements with our coach. To earn an additional education credit toward a distinguished leader role, The coach club must also have 20 or more paid members. And for me, that sounds like a lot, but not really. If a coach is unsuccessful, the appointment can be extended for up to an additional 2 years. So, which is good. I mean, I feel if the club coach and the club officers work together, things can be completed. Your support team, up to 2 coaches for credit, plus a support team. Our club growth director, which is Stephen Bryden, and myself. We have our area and division directors and all other experienced Toastmasters. You would have a great support team, and I know because I do have a great support team when I coach the club that I'm coaching. So are there any I'm going to stop screen sharing. And I just want to open it up. Everybody can turn their videos on if you wish. Any questions that I can help you with? If anyone has any questions, please unmute and just ask away or put your hands up and I will.
I have a question, Doreen.
Yes, Jeanette, is it?
Yes.
Thank you.
If a club is struggling, like which clubs are struggling, like low membership. So would you suggest to them that they might consider a coach, or do you leave it for them to take the first initiative?
Well, what I did in October, November, I believed I sent an email to all the clubs that were to the presidents and VPEs.
All right.
And I did not hear back from one.
Right.
So I'm leaving that up to the clubs
Mm-hmm.
with low membership. Like I said, there's 46 clubs in District 64 that could use a club coach.
Mm-hmm.
I have maybe 5 club coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So my push is for people to come and help these clubs that need the help.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would like to see. I would like to see District 64 get back up to where we were before COVID. Connie. Then
my question for you is, if there's a club that's currently suspended
Mhm.
and then they get to the point where they're in good standing, are they eligible to have a club coach at that point, or is there a time period that they have to be in good standing before?
I don't believe there is a time period. So if they're in good standing now, are you thinking of a particular club, Connie?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm asking because I know I need to place you yet. So yes.
I'm just thinking the other Brandon Club core communicators
Yes.
are currently suspended.
Sure. If
but
they
they're
are
working on it.
if they're a club in good standing, yes, they can have a coach. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. David, Storey.
Yes, hi, Doreen. I would just like you to confirm one of the biggest changes in the process from the new club coach program to the old club coach program is the president, the coach, and the club growth director all need to agree in writing, and that form goes up to TI. So in essence, a club can refuse a coach can refuse a club,
Yes.
any of those dynamics, correct?
Yes, definitely. I feel the coach, how can I put it? They need to gel is what I'm looking at. I don't know if I'll make sense to everybody, but I do a lot of things by instinct. And when I was first told, this is my experience now that I'm telling you about, my first instinct when I had heard of the club that I'm coaching now, I heard the name and I thought, yes, I want to coach that club. I had no idea who was in the club. It's just how I felt personally. And I remember meeting with you, David, and Audney before we even started doing that process. You had questions for me. I had questions for you about the club. So That's how I like to see it run, is if you get together and talk about it and see if it's a good fit. And I believe that a coach and the club president would be able to determine that within that time frame. So yes, I think it's a very good idea.
Thank you, Doreen.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any questions? June?
Wow, my unmute didn't want to work. How have you found the experience yourself with coaching the club that you are coaching? Do you enjoy it? Do you find it to be too much of an effort, or is it something that you think everybody should try at least once?
I honestly think everyone should try at least once. And I honestly wish I would have tried sooner. I enjoy coaching this club. I just sit and listen. And I asked another club coach if I could even do a speech, because I'm almost too scared to speak. I just want to listen to what they're doing. So I am actually giving an icebreaker speech on Tuesday to the club, just to tell them who this person is that's sitting there for the past couple of months, not saying too much, who this person really is. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So you're finding it's helpful for yourself as well as for the club?
Oh, most definitely. My self-confidence is getting a little better every time, like all the time. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Okay, thank you, Doreen.
Thank you. Denise?
Yes, I was wondering how long it takes for the training, for the coach training session.
That club coach module that everyone has
Yes.
to take now, it doesn't take any time at all. If you want to meet Denise, I can set up a Zoom and we can go through it together if you like. It's a bunch of questions, is what it is. It's question and answer. You answer them to what you think it is. And if they don't like it, they'll tell you. And if you don't pass, they'll tell you, because you can't continue. That's it. You cannot continue until you pass it. It won't
Okay.
let you- Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll help you anytime.
If I can pass it, anybody can pass it. Come on.
Well, I thought that too, David. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Like I said, it took me a couple of times and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Anyways, Jeanette.
Yes. My question is, can you fire a coach if you don't click with them? Is there a probation period? We had a great coach who was very bossy and wanted to change a lot of things. And so we went along, we gained a lot from the coach. In fact, it worked. We built up the club a little bit. And but then when that person moved on to another club, whatever, then we changed back some of the things that we wanted the way they were.
Okay. To
So,
answer
yeah.
that, what I would say is I would talk to your president and VP, well, your executive, your club officers, and I would go to the club coach coordinator and ask the club coach coordinator if you could have a meeting with the club coach, even if you're into the club coach program, like even if, say, the coach has been there for 2 or 3 whatever months,
Right.
and you're finding it's not a fit, then yes,
Yeah.
go to the coordinator, maybe set up a Zoom meeting or in-person meeting, however you're doing it, and see if you can figure things out. If not,
I
then
posted the answer to that, Doreen, off of the Toastmasters International Club Coach Fact site.
awesome. Thank you. Yes, that is a good fact site. I had that up. I printed it off. They had some question and answers about different things like that. And yeah, that the way they have it set up, and because I've never noticed the club coach program before, but now they have their own their site almost is quite interesting. It just gives you the step-by-steps and how to do everything. And I like it. I was still learning lots last night when I was still putting my presentation together and getting nervous, as always. Another question, Jeanette?
No, I forgot to lower my hand.
That's okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, Denise had a question, I think.
Denise? I gotta.
No,
change-
you answered mine.
Okay. I changed my view. Now I can see everybody. Are there any questions on the chat? I should have asked somebody. Well, thanks for doing that, Stephen.
Looks like you've answered them all, Doreen.
I think so. So if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. And I will turn control back over to June.
Thank you, Doreen. We will be sending you a thank you gift in the mail for our appreciation of your time and your presentation today. Thank you. And we're going to take a 5-minute break. So if everyone can be back at 1:59, please. And remember to turn off your videos. Thank you. She joined Louis Riel Toastmasters, so it would be one less day to go to the Bay to shop. She soon learned that it was much, much more. Laurette now belongs to 2 Toastmasters clubs, Speaking Made Easy Toastmasters and White Shell Toastmasters. She's accomplished a lot in her 32 years as being a Toastmaster. She started and mentored, coached many clubs. She has worked on many district conferences and district positions. This year, she's the Speechcraft and Youth Leadership Coordinator. She's received Toastmaster of the Year awards twice. She's won the Jack Gillespie Award, Area Governor of the Year, and George Craigie Award. She's accomplished 7 DTM awards and is working on her 8th. Today, Laurette is going to talk about the Speechcraft program and why it should benefit you and your club. If you're looking for a way to increase membership in your club, consider running a Speechcraft club workshop. The Speechcraft digital experience was created for experienced members to help non-members become the best communicators they can be. As a coordinator, you'll be given materials to help you recruit 5 people for a 4, 6, or 8 session Speechcraft event that'll boost your participants' confidence and improve their communication, public speaking, and leadership skills, all within a safe Toastmasters environment. Plus, Toastmasters members who become coordinators can earn DTM credits. Everyone, please help me welcome Laurette Greenlay.
Thank you very much, June, for that nice intro, and welcome everyone. If you wouldn't mind keeping your questions till the end of the presentation, I'll be able to answer your questions at that time. I'm going to share my screen right now. So welcome to the Speechcraft for Toastmasters International. So what is Speechcraft? It's a learning program aligned with Pathways. And when I say that, the participants are doing speeches, and the speeches they are doing will be just like when you first joined Toastmasters or you started a new path. They're going to be doing the icebreaker speech. They're going to be writing a speech with purpose. So it's aligned with the Pathway program. Of course, it builds communication between the coordinator and the participants, and public speaking skills. The participants will be delivering speeches. It's a directed learning workshops, and it's individual learning online. And what I mean by online is the participants also has to go to Toastmasters International through Speechcraft, and also the coordinator. And as alluded to what June just said, it can be a 4-week period, a 6-week period, or an 8-week period. And of course, if it's 8 weeks, they learn that much more. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, the participants will be doing speeches just like the new members, or if you just received a new path. They're going to be doing the icebreaker. They're going to be writing a speech with purpose. They're going to be doing an introduction to vocal variety and body language, introduction to mentoring, and they will be doing some other elective projects. That's through Toastmasters International. This particular slide, don't write notes on it. Go to the Speechcraft area in Toastmasters and you can get this particular slide to learn more about what the participants are going to be doing in Speechcraft. It's a directed learning workshop. So there's a participant and there is a coordinator. It's direct learning and also online. I mentioned a minute ago, the coordinator has to go online and the participants have to go online at Toastmasters International, and it's called Gateway. For the person who is the coordinator, you go to Pathways like you normally would go when you're getting your particular speeches, but you would go to the Gateway part of it. And again, it is a public speaking. All the participants will be doing presentations in front of their group. Now, there is a coordinator, which is what I mentioned a minute ago, but the coordinator needs to have help. And that's why we encourage clubs to do Speechcraft. We can have one of the members would become the coordinator and the other ones would help. And it would help. I call it the educational, that's what the old program called it. And these are all the different topics that will be introduced in the Speechcraft to help these participants along. They'll be to choose a topic, and defining a topic that will deliver a speaker's message. Prepare to present. The project focuses on how to write a speech that conveys a message and on methods learners can use to prepare for their presentation. Giving and receiving feedback. This project focuses on how to receive an evaluation and how to share supportive, effective feedback with others. Know your purpose. Skills to identify and deliver a purposeful message when speaking to a group. Body language. Of course, we all know how to do body language and understand the impact of movement, gestures, and facial expressions on the effective delivery of a speech. How to evaluate, review a speech, and deliver feedback using evaluation material available from Toastmasters. Vocal variety. Supple impact of voice and vocal variety goes far beyond. And powerful words, importance of word choices when delivering a message. Again, this particular slide, you can go to Toastmasters International to view it. You don't need to make copies right now. But these are all the educationals that will be done to help the participants to start their presentations. And again, you need other members to help you to do that. You can't do it all by yourself. So who can sponsor Speechcraft? An active club in good standing, and that is a club that has 8+ members. And the reason why it has to be an active club, Speechcraft is literally done through Toastmasters International. It's done through the Pathway program. If a club is under 8 members, they do not have access to Toastmasters International, so they cannot be a club. They're not a club in good standing, so they cannot do a Speechcraft. And it's a membership building opportunity. It is a wonderful, wonderful membership building opportunities. When I first joined Speaking Made Easy Toastmasters, which was called the Beausejour Toastmasters Club, they had 7 people. We did 3 back-to-back Speechcraft. We had 10 participants in total, 9 joined the club. I feel it is a wonderful, wonderful membership building opportunity. So what are the club resources? There's a Speechcraft coordinator, so someone from the club will be the person who will be heading the Speechcraft. And assistance to present workshop topics. I called it educational, but the new buzzword is workshop topics. So you need 2 or 3 people to help with delivering those particular workshop topics. And then guides, mentors. We also did a Speechcraft at the Whiteshell Toastmasters Club. And at that time, what we decided to do, all the members that were there, we would have them assigned as mentors to the participants. And it worked wonderfully, because if the participant had questions to ask between meetings, they just need to phone their mentors. And it worked really well. So I really emphasize having mentors for every one of the participants. You could have you could have one Toastmaster doing 2 participants. And evaluations, the reason why you also need people there from your club is that at the beginning, everything, of course, is evaluated in Toastmasters. So you need seasoned Toastmasters to do the evaluations at the beginning of the Speechcraft. As time goes by, your participants will be taking over all those roles. But at the beginning, it's really important that there's Toastmasters there to do that. The other thing, the Speechcraft coordinator also earns their DTM. So that's one of the things that once doing this, you earn your DTM. You earn one of the credits for the DTM. The Speechcraft kit includes workshop materials, online registration for 5 participants. The cost is $50 US, which is approximately 65 Canadian. And you've got access to all Speechcraft material. Now, if you have, for example, 8 people that want to take the Speechcraft, you would need then to purchase 2 kits. So that would be $50 American times 2. But if you have someone else in the club that would like to earn their DTM or earn credit towards their DTM by doing a Speechcraft, they can buy the next Speechcraft kit for $5. And then you would have 2 coordinators doing the presentation, and both would get credit for it. And I think it's very doable. There's a lot of work in doing a Speechcraft, and I think if you have 2 coordinators, it would help tremendously. This is what the Speechcraft digital bundle looks like. It's item 8600. And this is some of the information you would receive when you purchase the digital bundle. Do you have a club resources to proceed? For example, does the club have money to be able to buy the $65 digital package? When can you hold a Speechcraft? Do you want to hold it? Both times I've held Speechcraft, it's been during the regular Toastmasters meeting, but you don't have to do it during the regular Toastmasters meeting or the Toastmaster night, because you don't do it through the meeting. It's a special procedure. Do you want to do it at a different location, a different time? What's your demographic? Who is it you're trying to bring into your club? You have to think about that when you're doing your invitations. What's the minimum number of participants? Again, 5 if you buy the bundle, and you could buy another bundle, which would be 10. And how much should you charge participants? We charge $50 a person, and if that person joined, then that $50 would be applied towards their membership fee. And I thought that was a win-win situation at that particular time. This is what the poster looks like that Toastmaster International has as part of the bundle. When we did the Speechcraft in the Beau Seizure Club, that's what it was called at that time. It's now called Speaking Made Easy Toastmasters. We called it a boot camp. That was the big buzzword at that time. Everybody was doing boot camps for whatever. And that I felt really brought the people in. Now, if you feel that boot camp is still a buzzword to use, I've got a poster that Toastmaster International that time had that you could use. Now I'm going to open up the floor for questions and answer, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can see people. And I have Laverne also helping me to see if who the people would like to. Okay, I've got everybody back on screen. Who has a question?
I do. It's Janet.
Okay, Janet, go ahead.
So could I or somebody order the kit, but not necessarily plan to do it right then? Can you order the kit so you can look it over and everything?
Yes, you can. But once you start the project, now I'm not sure if it's when you start the project or when you buy the kit, you have, I think, a year to do it.
Okay.
Can't have it forever.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any-
Sylvia has her hand up.
Go ahead. Thank you,
Yes,
Laurette.
Yes, great presentation. Really enjoyed hearing that all again. I was just wondering if the district would consider paying for these kits. In the past, that has happened. And
I-
it certainly helps.
Yeah, and at this time, no, the answer was no when I asked that question.
That's not completely off the table, Sylvia. It did come up in our training in Las Vegas, and it will something that we may bring up on the table again in the future.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, the next is Susan and then Denise.
Hi, thanks for the presentation, Laurette. I was kind of writing some other notes, so I think I kind of missed it. You said that you charge 50 Canadian per participant.
Correct.
If they join your club, you take that $50 off the original membership fee?
Correct.
Okay, so it would be, just so I'm clear, so because we add $25 extra for the new members, so
Correct.
then you take that off and then just minus another 25? Is that?
That's right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wrote it down. Thank you.
No, yes, for sure. Denise?
Yes, where do you find your group of people that you want to present this to? Is it like type of clubs or students? How does that work?
You advertise. At least that's what we did when we did ours in both the White Shell and the Speaking Meet Easy. You need to advertise. There's just not a group sitting out there waiting for you
No.
to come and get them too. Unfortunately not. You have to advertise and you have to, or maybe members of your club once they know someone that's interested and don't want to really join, but they like to come and see the program. That's what you need to do to get the people to come.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Like Doreen, I do have people who are interested in having Speechcraft in their work environment, and I just received one for the Manitoba Media Federation. So if anyone is interested in I believe they live in Winnipeg. Now, sometimes they'll do this online, sometimes not. It'd be something you have to contact them. Is there any other questions on Speechcraft?
It's Janet again. I was just gonna say that it was a while ago, but somebody contacted teachers, and then the teacher have a program where it's almost like community service, and they required that the kids get some sort of credit if they go to something like I guess it was maybe youth leadership, but you could do the same idea, is approach an employer or something and then say, okay, we recommend you go to this. And, yeah.
Yes, that'd be one way around it. And I'm just going to put a plug in for youth leadership because I'm also the youth leadership coordinator. And I also have people interested in youth leadership. And that is for 18 years and under. It's for students in school. And we really encourage the teachers to do this during their work, during the day. Sometimes it doesn't work out, they'll do it after school. But if you know anyone who's interested, again, you get credit towards your DTM for youth leadership. And I've never done a youth leadership, but to me, it's very similar to this Speechcraft. The students, they do presentations, they get to do meetings. It's very, very similar to Speechcraft. So if anybody's interested in going to the schools, I do have one right now. I have approached Doreen and she said yes. But if something happens and she can't do it, and if you're interested, let me know. I'm going to put my email and my phone number in chat, and don't hesitate to give me a holler at any time. Is there any other questions?
There's one more
Yes.
question in chat
Thank you. Oh, in
from
chat.
Patrick Goodrich. He said $50 the flat charge for participants.
Correct. That's what we did. Now, maybe now you want to do a little bit higher, but if you get 5 participants with $5, $50, that pays for your bundles. So I don't know if you want to charge more than that, but that's what we charge. And there was no comments at all when they to pay us $50. So it's up to you what you want to do.
Okay, that's it from the chat. And I see June Storey has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, June.
Hi, Laurette. You say that the youth leadership program is for students who are under 18 years of age. Is there a minimum age as well, or is
Yes.
it just
Yes, no, there is. Thank you for asking that, June. 11 years, 11, 12 years old and older, because it's a little daunting, the program for anyone who's younger than that. They're usually about 12 to 18. And the reason why they're doing the youth leadership is that you cannot join Toastmasters unless you're 18 years old. And this was developed for people who are under 18 years old. That's why they did it. And it's been done in schools, and it's very successful. But again, if you do it during the class time, the teacher has to accommodate that. And sometimes that's really hard with what they have to teach, right? So it's really hard for them to do that.
Perfectly understandable. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it back to June. Thank you very much, June.
Thank you, Laurette. And we will be sending you a gift in the mail for your time and presentation today. Thank you very much. We will take a 10-minute break now, and because we're a little bit ahead of schedule, we will be back at 2:28. Thank you. All right, we're going to call the meeting back to order. Our next speaker, Lloyd Gwilliam, a former Toastmaster with 20 years of service, will give a presentation on utilizing LinkedIn to promote your Toastmasters Club. Lloyd, a vibrant webmaster for 3 decades, in 2012 was one of the first mayors in Saskatchewan to utilize Twitter, Facebook, and web blogging to keep his community members informed about council decisions, government lobbying efforts, updates, and even emergency disaster response. While with District 64 Toastmasters, he has acted as social media administrator, webmaster, Zoom master, among other support roles. He currently volunteers at the Charles Wood 55 Plus Active Living Center to assist seniors in adapting to new technologies such as tablets, smartphones, laptops, and their uses on apps such as Zoom and Facebook. Lloyd had been a LinkedIn member for the past decade. Help me welcome Lloyd Gwilliam.
Yeah, I was giving myself some applause there. Did you guys actually hear that? It's kind of a sound check as well.
I heard it.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to know things work. I don't always get to practice Zoom anymore. But back to that. Let's move on. Okay. So today I'm doing this presentation. I just wanted to mention that it is going to be shared on the YouTube channel for District 64. So if you don't want to be seen on it, just make sure you turn your video off. That's no problem. If you turn your video off, then you won't be on the video. The other thing is, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to keep my chat open, and every once in a while I'm going to stop and review the chat to see who's asking questions. But mainly this presentation will be on this PowerPoint slide, and then when I'm done the PowerPoint, we're going to go into an actual live situation where we go on to LinkedIn and actually try it out. So at the end of this, you'll have this reference document and you'll have the YouTube video to go over this. So what I plan to explore today, it's not just how to get into LinkedIn, but it's also why you should use LinkedIn, a little bit of information about posting and things like that. And I might reference Brittany's presentation a little bit earlier because she had some really good tips there, and I may go contrary to her tips, but I'll just mention about that. But what I hope to cover today is why you might want to use LinkedIn. Why is it that you want to use LinkedIn out of all the social media platforms? Some of the, I'll be talking about the best of a couple of different potentials because you can use LinkedIn in more than one way. And then I'll talk about some guides that are there to help you and how you can maximize the use of LinkedIn. And then we'll create our first page, or I'll create my first page or my second page or just another page. And then we'll have some question and answers if you have some questions. I'm also going to be watching the chat there to see if there's questions in there. And this was an odd thing. I got this recycling truck going across the screen, and there was a whole other theme I was working on, but I think about the best way I can work on this is just tell you that if you get some ideas from here, the idea is use them, recycle. You don't have to come up with new ideas. There's all sorts of ideas out there. If you go searching on Google, you go searching on YouTube, just recycle them and make them your own. And you may see that recycling truck a little later on. So we have a lot of social media platforms. There's Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and Pinterest. There's LinkedIn and TikTok and Reddit and Snapchat, and I don't know what the rest of them are. But today we're going to talk about LinkedIn and why it is that you want to use LinkedIn out of all those other social media platforms. So why LinkedIn? Good question. Well, it's actually a good tool for your social media toolbox in that it is accessible to the internet. There are people on the platform. Depending where you look for your research, there's over 850 million people on the platform. If you look at the Canadian population, there's something like over 20 million people in Canada are on LinkedIn. So there's lots of visibility and lots of potential. It's a 20-year-old platform. It's actually one of the older social media platforms. It started out as more for jobs and job hunting and resumes and people to find employees on the internet, but it's evolved over time and it's changed quite a bit. There's 50% of it is college graduates or higher. 45% of the people on LinkedIn are actually in management positions. And there's something like 30 million companies on LinkedIn. So it's a great place to find some of those people. So here's our Canadian users. I just wanted to point that out, that the 18 to 24-year-olds are 18.5% of LinkedIn. 25 to 34, there's 50% of the users here. And 20% of the users are 35 to 54. You'll notice that top number there, 55 and older, which I happen to be in, there's only 4.1%. And if you had seen me last November, I actually dropped out of LinkedIn because I'm not looking for a job. I'm not trying to network anymore. I'm not trying to look for contracting jobs. So I thought it's one social media platform I didn't need. So when David asked me to do this presentation, I actually had to set up an account again. But it's not grandma and grandpa's social media platform. This is kind of for the working people or the people that want to get jobs or in jobs or employment. And then there's some of us older folks spread out there as well. So the numbers, so for Canadian numbers, there's 4 million from 18 to 24. There's 12.4 million from 25 to 34. There's 4.4 million from 35 to 54. So if you're ever wondering where the younger folks are hanging out, this is one spot. There's over 16 million Canadians ages 25 to 54 on this platform. However, there's over 20 million ages 18 to 54 on the platform. It's huge for the type of market, if that's the market you're looking for your club. And back to that slide. It tends to be a more professional networking site. You're not going to see a lot of, this is the dinner I had tonight, or you may have seen me post earlier in the week on Facebook. I actually had poutine out at the Park Cafe. So it's not some place where you're sharing the poutine that you had at the Park Cafe. This is more for sharing networking, job opportunities, growth, things more in the professional nature. And it's also a good place for skills building and sharing. And the reason I wanted to mention the skills building and sharing, if you were to get on this site, you can probably get some tools to make a better resume. If you want to get a better job, you can actually start putting resumes there, looking for jobs. But it also is a nice thing to have on your resume that you're a LinkedIn user for 10 years or a decade, and you know how to use LinkedIn, and you've used it for searching for job opportunities. So I mentioned there's two potential things you could use in LinkedIn. It's groups or pages. And I'll talk about groups first. So groups, the way I like to think about that, it's kind of like a private clubhouse out in the wilderness. And I think District 64 has a Facebook group that's private. It's private to those people only. And those people know where it's located. They have a map. But if you're someone there that's searching for them, it's not always easy to find them. You have to actually get a hold of the map or get invited in, and then somebody has to let you into the group. And I was trying to think who might have groups. I came up with Winnipeg Wastewater Group, if you want to talk about Winnipeg wastewater. They were talking about it a lot during COVID when they're doing testing. I'll just use another one, maybe a nuclear scientist group that wants to talk about nuclear science, or maybe it's a mathematician or mathematical group, something like that, where you get like-minded people together so they can have conversations and they can network. So it's not really for growth per se, it's more for knowledge sharing in groups because you're getting like-minded people together. It's not really the one that's going to help you grow. But what can help you grow is pages. Because pages, you're out there in the world where the whole world can see you and search for you and find you quite easily. The page that you start is called a company page. And again, we're at a professional networking site, so they have a different name for it, but they call it a company page. And you might want to think about what are the benefits of having one of these company pages. Well, the first benefit is that you can create shareable content. And Brittany was talking about producing content, and this is the thing that you can produce there, and then people on the network can see it on the internet, and actually they can do searchable things on like Google and actually find you on there. And if they want to see more detail, they have to join LinkedIn, but it's searchable and you can create it and share it. You can differentiate yourself from other clubs because it's your content. You can have it look the way that you want it to look. It doesn't have to look like everyone else. However, I will be talking about branding later on, where you do have to keep up the Toastmasters appearances. It improves search SEO, search engine optimization. They always talk about that, being able to be found. I've been playing with it since I started again, and I actually made a company page for myself, and I'll show you that later on. And I've been searching for it, and it doesn't come up on the Google yet. And I'm trying to understand why, and there's something about I have to have connections on the page before it starts to advertise it on Google. Just a little bump along the way, but it's very easily searchable in LinkedIn, which is another good product anyway. And then you can find potential guests and members this way. Somebody that's looking for something. You heard hashtags earlier. You can use hashtags in here and people will search for those hashtags. It actually has a way of helping you make the hashtags so that when people are searching, they can find you, and that's how you might get potential members or guests for your clubs. And I use some examples of hashtags, might be like hashtag public speaking, hashtag Toastmaster, hashtag presentations, hashtag confidence, all sorts of things. I think you saw some examples on Brittany's presentation where, you know, it had quite an extensive list of hashtags on one. So you might ask, Lloyd, is it hard to do? No, it's actually quite easy. It takes 3 steps. That's all it takes. One step is to have a personal account. Does anyone have a personal account? And I don't know how I see. I can only see about 5 people on here, but anyway. Oh, Harry has a personal account. Okay. And Connie. Good. So we do have some personal accounts. And maybe we'll take a look at them out later. David Storey says he has one. So if you have a personal account, it's only 2 steps because you've got 1 step done already. The second step is just to create the company page. So that's an easy step. And then you start publishing content. And these guys that have been saying they have these personal sites, I don't think I've seen a lot of content. So that's something to talk about too, is, you know, getting the content on there. And I see Stephen Bryden says he has one too. So onward. There are 3 places to go for guidance. This is my talk about getting guidance to do this. This is not the only way to find out how to do this, because you can go to Google, you search for Toastmasters LinkedIn Guide. That's a really good one to search for. What you'll come to is Toastmasters LinkedIn Step-by-Step Guide. And if you click on download the form, you will get this wonderful LinkedIn step-by-step guide on how to set up a company page. Be careful, there's another LinkedIn guide called Toastmasters LinkedIn Guide for Advertising that will cost you money if you follow their instructions. I thought it was interesting. They're promoting like a $20 a day advertising program. Little much for clubs. Maybe the district would do that. But the real guide is a 6-page guide that takes you through step by step. And you may wonder, well, what's in the guide? Well, first of all, they explain the requirements. And they tell you need a personal account. We covered that. The personal profile must be at least 7 days old. Now, when I created mine a few weeks ago, it let me do a page in shorter time. So that's something. And then it says the personal profile must have connections. So that's getting other people to connect with you. When I made mine up again in, I think it was December, within a day, I had a couple of connections already. Some friends back in Calgary found me. I don't know why they're looking for me, but it's a great site. It seems to connect you quite easily. It also gives you the steps to follow, page by page, step by step, and it's a really good guide. I'm going to give you a link to it at the end and a place to show you where the link is. And there's a brief few words about branding. I'm going to cover a bit more about branding than they do, but they do remind you about the Toastmaster branding because you're part of an organization. And then they tell you where to access some images that you want to make it compliant with their branding. So that's a good handy handout for that. The other thing they do is if you have questions, they tell you to send a note to socialmedia@toastmasters.org. I like that. It doesn't say send a note to Lloyd. It says send it to socialmedia@toastmasters.org. So it's a good document. A very simple, 6 pages, easy to go, and the graphics actually are they're modern enough that they actually follow the site the way it is. And sometimes it's hard to teach some of these social media things because you'll do it one day and then a month later they change the site, but it looks good right now. The other thing you can do for LinkedIn guidance is you can Google something out at LinkedIn itself and their headquarters. I got a picture of the headquarters here. They're owned by Microsoft. That was interesting to find out. Microsoft bought them a few years ago. They're a $10 billion operation. They have 21,000 employees. I didn't hear any layoffs for LinkedIn yet, so maybe they still have the 21,000. They're in Sunnyvale, California. But enough talk. What you can do is go to Google, do a quick Google search, typing in create LinkedIn company page, select the appropriate link from the results. First time in, you can view the best practices, and let's view that video link.
Your LinkedIn page is core to your brand's online presence. It's where you can communicate with your current and prospective customers. Your audience may find their way to your page via search or through your ads, so consistency in messaging and brand is vital. Follow a few simple steps to set up your LinkedIn page and build a solid foundation for your brand. First, log into your LinkedIn account. Click the work icon at the top of your screen and select Create a Company Page. Next, select Company. Upload your brand's logo and add a tagline. Describe your company. Clearly articulate its vision and purpose. Complete the page by adding your company website, location, industry, and other relevant details. Remember, complete pages get more views. Add team members to help manage the page. Congratulations! Your LinkedIn page is now set up for success. Grow your community by inviting your first-degree profile connections to follow your page. And when you're ready, go ahead. Start posting and building your brand.
Well, there you go. 1 minute and 30 seconds to set up a page. I should have just sent you the link to that and it saved me an hour talking here, right? Anyway, I wanted to slow it down a bit. Once you did that Google search, it said view the best practices or create your own page. So when it does come time to create, you do that Google search and this is where you create your page. Just click the other button. If you do click that, it takes you to that video, and that's where I clicked on the video link just so we could watch that video. The other place that you can get some information from or guidance is this session today. So it is being recorded. David set the recording on there, and they're going to put it on the YouTube channel where District 64 YouTube channel is. It's going to say build the club LinkedIn page or something similar. And that's where you can also get some information. Oh, I'm supposed to review questions now on chat. It's just Harry's chatting with me, but yeah, political. It's interesting. I think the one that's most political is Twitter. Twitter is really into politics. Reddit, you can get into some politics as well. Facebook isn't maybe quite so bad. And LinkedIn does have some political background, but it's not too bad at all. So anyway, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll take a look at them later. Off we go. How do we maximize the use of LinkedIn? So what I'm going to do is just talk about content. And Brittany actually had some good words earlier. It was content, captions, and community. So her advice earlier is great for this too. I'm going to do a little bit different perspective just from the, more so from the Toastmaster side, I guess, because of the branding thing. And the branding I would always be talking about, it's something, I'll say maybe 8 years ago, I wasn't quite as careful with branding. But 8 years ago, I got more involved with the branding, and that's talking about using the proper colors for Toastmasters so that everywhere you go from club to club to club to club to district is they're using the same branding, the same colors, the same type of text up here. I've got the 4 branding colors and the logo that they use and how they want it used. That's important things to follow. And the other thing that comes with the Toastmaster branding is the imaging. They want us to use a more professional imaging, and that's why they've actually given us images on their website where we don't have to have cameras. If we don't have cameras, we can still do some imaging that works for us. And where do you find all this stuff? It's at the Toastmasters brand portal. So if you were to type in Toastmasters brand portal in Google, it would take you to the brand portal where they have this brand manual. It's a 37-page manual, so it's just a condensed version. I'm just being silly. It is a bit long, but the part you need is only a couple of pages, really. And this is the page I used to go to a lot, was just to capture the colors. They have the colors there. They have the hex codes and the other ways you can find the colors out in things like PowerPoint or your web programs or your editing programs or your graphic programs. Make use of these colors very easily. The other thing I wanted to draw your attention to was page 20 on the brand manual. And they say, stay away from images that do not connect to the Toastmasters environment, such as those mainly or solely portraying landscapes, animals, children, food and food appliances, medicine, and architecture. So I was thinking that image I used at the start of my PowerPoint really doesn't fit with the Toastmasters theme. And I'm not too sure how I twist it to make it fit. It's just, I took this picture last year and I happened to like it. And when I was going with that recycling truck theme, the recycling and garbage is out there, it seemed to fit, but something happened along the way. Oh, there's that truck. Anyway. The reason they talk about appliances, maybe you guys all know about this. There's something called the Toastmaster brand appliances. There's toasters and heaters and ovens and all sorts of things. And it just looks like this really neat thing you could use for Toastmasters. But who in the heck would use that for advertising? Oh, I also wanted to do like a public service announcement. You can buy Toastmaster brand toasters at Walmart if you want to. But I found some examples. This one was Toastmasters explained in 7 minutes, and this guy was using the Toastmaster brand toaster to show that. This one was Forever Improving Toastmasters. They actually took the Toastmaster document image. Love is in the air. Come join us Thursday at our annual spring contest. I have no idea what that toaster has to do with their contest. And then this one was Welcome to Burnt Toastmasters Club. Do you guys know who Burnt Toastmasters is? Well, I do. They're a club in Calgary that I used to go visit, and for some reason they thought they needed to use the Toastmaster branding. So that's why they say stay away from appliances. The second thing they say is please do not use cartoons, illustrations, or clip art in materials created for clubs, areas, divisions, district, and regions. As I go through this, I may ask the question, why doesn't it say international on there? Like, why does it just say areas, divisions, district, regions? Anyway, what they... Oh, Oh, like what, Lloyd? Yeah, well, thank you, cartoon clip art character, for asking that question. Well, something like this. Remember that club I was talking about, Burnt Toastmasters? This was one of their ads, Burnt Toast. By the way, Burnt Toastmasters did not survive COVID. They shut down last year, but they should not be using images like this. Or here's another cartoon image. What do you guys think about that? Is that a cartoon? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Does that look like a cartoon? Does that look like a cartoon? Now, the sad part about this cartoon is it was put out by an outfit called Toastmasters International. And what really irritated me, guys, that we aren't supposed to use Toastmaster imaging, is that on page 5 of the guide of how to use LinkedIn. It's on page 5. And right beside the image on page 5, it says, stay compliant with a Toastmasters brand policy. So earlier today, I sent social media at toastmasters.com a little note and told them that their imaging here should really be changed because they're not supposed to use cartoons. It's a very poor example. Enough of that. Some people do know how to use proper imaging, and I really thank these guys for doing it. It's a club called Carillon. I think they're in Manitoba. They're worth the drive to Steinbach, by the way. And it was really refreshing to see someone using some of the stock imaging. I thought it's reasonable. They're just trying to get some people out for their one of their open houses, and they had this ad. It's a really good example of how to use it. Okay, here's my second chance to look at the chat. Are they sticky with what you post? Could they ask you to remove it? So that's Harry asking. I doubt that. These days, it seemed the only one that was removing posts, Harry, was Twitter. And that was after Elon Musk got in there. And it really had to get bad before they take some stuff off. Put a sandwich meats here, sandwich board mill. Yeah, that's a good one. Also very sensitive about pictures that can anyway be considered derogatory. Yeah, I think you got to stay professional. If you're in doubt, use a squirrel. So where can I get good images, you might ask? Well, your club with permission, and you heard that earlier, Brittany was talking about it. If you can get some pictures from your club and they are in agreement, it's nice to post those if you can do some really good pictures. I have no problem with the Toastmasters brand portal. Them there. Royalty-free photo sites like pixel.com and freeimages.com. This picture here of this young lady taking a picture that looks really nice, that's from pixels.com. It's a free site where you can use the images for free, and I post images there as well that I share with them, and I share videos with them and pictures, so it's kind of a give and take, and you can get some fantastic pictures from there. And they're free to use. Sometimes it's really good to let them know what you're using them for. I've used them in videos before, even some of their video segments. They're just fantastic. And then personal photos. You'll see me dabbling some of the pictures in here that make sense without people in, and then I don't need people permission. Content. So we have to talk about the content, and this is about sharing your story and your club's story and trying to get people to actually pay attention to you. Brittany was talking about a few times a week. Toastmasters, in their guidance here, they say you should be posting about 2 or 3 times a week. So what kind of content? Well, an easy one is to just follow some people on LinkedIn and share their content. And here's a really good outfit called Toastmasters International. They post a few times a week. So maybe you share one of theirs and then post one of your own. Share one of theirs and then post one of your own. So that's useful to do. Or there are other providers on there. District 60 is on there, District 42, District 64, District 46, but I'm not following them. So you could actually use some of their content. If they post something, you could repost it on your site. So you don't have to make up something new. But when it's more specific to your club, you should try to be your own creator. As I say, you can create your own content. Be your own creator. So keep in mind other social media platforms. And the reason I say that is it's nice if you're already using Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's nice if you can use the same information to post on all those sites instead of having to create something separate. And the reason I say just be careful is some image sizes fit on one site and not the other. I found the worst one was Twitter that cut off the sides. So if you had some writing across the top, you might lose part of it. And it's just a trial and error thing. There are some companies or apps that can help you post on all the sites. One's called Hootsuite, and there's some other ones I think I mentioned later. But yeah, Hootsuite, Buffer, Planoly, SmartPost, there's things like that. If you're really into doing a whole bunch of social media platforms. So here's just some examples I found on either Toastmasters that you could use. This was nice. 6 reasons to join Toastmasters. Make a good first impression. I grabbed this out of a poster. I kind of like the imaging. Build a better you. Join us for an open house. The poster has your typing down below. I don't recommend using the poster, but the imaging is nice to catch your attention, and then you can put more of the information on your post. I personally don't like this one, and I don't know if you guys would agree or not, but I always think that if you're going to use something, it has to suit your audience and it has to suit your club. And I struggle with this one because it reminds me of Donald Trump's son every time I see this poster. So I get this negative thing in my head. So use things that you like and be mindful of what you're using, I guess. Here's some. Want more confidence? These are things that are on the Toastmasters website you can grab. There's Ralph there, learning in the best moments of enjoyment. My Whys, you actually could use the My Whys. Those are those video presentations where they're doing My Whys. You can post videos on there. You can post the testimonials, or what were they? Success stories. They're not testimonials, success stories. And then I grabbed this one. Sometimes you're just going to post something on here about something that happened. This guy got distinguished and he wants to tell you the 3 benefits, and the post type, what I put there was Toastmasters can help you develop better speaking skills, confidence, leadership. Why not visit our club? Again, I would use Brittany's references early. She had some really good information there for posts. Oh, so this is the let's build a page part. So we're actually going to build a page, but I'm going to check the questions. I had one here from Patrick. Where can I go to improve my PowerPoint presentations? I like how you use animations and sound in your presentation. YouTube. That's a great place to go. Just type in Google. Well, go to YouTube and then just type in their PowerPoint presentations, and there's all sorts of people that can show you things like that. I've been using PowerPoint for quite a few years, so it comes a little naturler, but YouTube is just fantastic. Now, what I'm going to do is actually show you the page in LinkedIn, and I've got 2 things going on here because I actually made a sample page, but something that would help you guys, and I can always share this as well. I went ahead, and for any time I was doing posting into the future, I've got a Word document here, and I've got the organization name is going to be Start Your LinkedIn Page. It's SYLP, and the website is going to be hullerjunction.com/SYLP, and I'll show you why it's that one. The industry, the tagline, Toastmasters tell you the tagline for your site should be where leaders are made. I believe that's the tagline. And then you can put a description in. And I'm putting this description in this site we're going to build. You have a possibility of 2,000 characters, and I've only used 379. So you can do quite a description of your site. Then I made a logo for my SYLP site, and I've got a couple of pictures. I've got that recycling truck, and I've got this picture, and you'll see how that works later. And then I figured out my first post. This is going to be my first post. So I've actually made notes here of my first post. Now, why I showed you that is because you'll know that it's happening in the background, but I'm not going to share both things at once and have you see me bouncing around. I'll just do the one there. Okay, so we're going to do, so this is a LinkedIn site. I've lost the chat window, guys. Okay. I just want to keep the chat window open. If you have anything to say, just mention in the chat there. So this one is a Lloyd Gwilliam site here. And I have a network already. I've been following people, and I'm following someone called Brittany Miller today. You guys all know Brittany. She was here earlier today. And she mentioned this Adam Grant, so I'm following Adam. And the only other followers, I'm following my MLA here and apparently my Premier. But I assume that I'll just get rid of this LinkedIn thing in a couple of weeks anyway, so. Groups. There are 3 groups I'm following. We Believe in Winnipeg has a group. Summit Toastmasters out of Brandon has a group, and Young Professionals has a group. And if I look in those groups, they haven't really done much of anything for a while, I don't think. Yeah, they haven't created the first post yet. So that's just my exploring to see who is on here. And if I go to my network again and I look at pages, this is where I found Steinbach's page, Steinbach Professionals, Health Sciences Center, Healthy Talkers, Venio Dictum, Peak Performers, Friendly Achievers, and Testament Toastmasters. So that were some of the clubs around there. Now, to make a company page, I have to ask a question. Are you guys seeing my chat window or just that whole LinkedIn portion? Is there someone that could actually tell me?
I've got your chat window. I can see all the chat, Lloyd.
So I'm sharing too much.
If chat disappears, you just have to click on chat again and it'll pop back up as it'll stay over, but it disappears as soon as somebody reshares a screen.
But what are you seeing right now? Just the
LinkedIn.
Okay, good enough. So anyway, to do a LinkedIn page, well, I can collapse it a little bit here. Yeah, that doesn't, I don't like that. To do a LinkedIn page, you click on work. It's very simple. Just click on work, scroll down till you see create a company page. You click on that, and then this is where it gets interesting. You click company. You put in your organization's name, and this is where Lloyd's going to toggle back and forth to his Word document. So it's that. My LinkedIn page is SYLP. My website, I have to go get that. What's my website? That's my website. The industry I'm in is, we'll call it a non-profit. That's what most of them are going to be. The organization size, mine's just got 1 employee. The organization type is non-profit. We need a logo. So we go to the desktop, LinkedIn for Toastmasters. Here's my sample page. We're going to use that truck logo. Look at that, it put the logo on the page. My tagline, I have to go to my Word document. My tagline is, if someone has thought of it before, we can recycle it. Right on. I verify I'm the authorized representative, and we've just created a page. That's as simple as it gets, except we don't have a picture at the top. So I'm going to click this picture link, upload an image, and we're using the street image. I like that one. And apply that. And we're now going to look at it, what a member would see. Right now we're admin. So a member would see this. My nice SYLP logo, my street picture, and it's called Start Your LinkedIn Page. If someone has thought of it before, we can recycle it. And the website takes you to, where did it take us? Didn't take us anywhere. Oh well. Now the other thing is there's an edit page button on here, and I have to put the description. Remember, I had that 379 text description, and that goes in here. And I think we're good. Save. I want to start a post. So it already wants me to start a post. I'll just start the, oh, we'll post that, sure. We just started a page. So we already have one post. If we go to view as a member, if you were coming to look at this, this is what you would see. You would see that this guy has done one post already. There's the website, by the way. So for you guys later on, it's called hollerjunction.com/SYLP. The PowerPoint I used today is right here. So if you click on that, it'll open that PowerPoint presentation up and you can use it. This is a link to the Toastmasters brand portal, and this is a link to the step-by-step guide on how to create a LinkedIn company page. Now, questions. You guys could turn on your microphones, or I could do another post right from scratch. Post.
Lloyd, can you connect two accounts to each other? So if I have an employee account in LinkedIn and I want to create one for Toastmasters, can I join them together?
Well, that's an interesting question. See, like what I see is this is me, an employee, you know, and now I have these two pages here. So I am kind of linked in. They're right here. I don't know if that answers your question, or because they're right there, or if I go to my network, they would probably be there as well. Pages. I shouldn't do that because they're not going to be there, but because they're my pages, they're right here. And this is the one we just created. I would like to, man. Well, I see what's going on. I want to post another post. But I haven't saved that picture yet. If it seems a little sluggish, I'm moving things around on the screen all the time because I'm trying to keep the chat window open too. Desktop. There's my picture. Okay, done. So here's my picture. What I wanted to post, I go back to that Word document. I'm trying to go back and get my post information and see if I actually lived up to Brittany's branding. If entities are subject, oh, that doesn't work. What? So what I've posted here, I didn't post it? Isn't that something? Anyway, any other questions? Interesting. Thanks, Lloyd. Thanks, Lloyd. Really appreciated it. Okay.
Just,
I gotta
it's not a question so much as I started to join into LinkedIn because people I know were on it, but I chickened out, and yet I guess I went in far enough that I keep getting people trying to contact me, mostly men, mostly widowed, whatever. So I just ignore it all, but
yeah, that's probably any social media platform does that.
yeah.
I actually left Instagram because of that. I was getting all the sweetheart messages from young ladies, and I just left Instagram. I didn't need Instagram, so I just left it. And I left LinkedIn, just I didn't really need it, so I left LinkedIn. But what's on there for districts? Well, I can show you. Maybe that's something I can show. So if I'm in LinkedIn, all I did was I went to the search up here and I searched Toastmasters. And then it gives me people, companies, posts, groups, events, jobs, schools, courses, products. Now, we're all going to be under companies. And there's 3,400 different Toastmaster company sites. So that would be like 3,400 different clubs or someone that started one. If I go back one screen, instead of companies, I could do people. And then you start to see the people like Alfred Kerperin, Debbie Stearns, Marvin Henry, one of my good friends out in Calgary, Catherine Zakundiak, our region advisor, or your region advisor, etc. Mark Brown, I think he's an international speaker. There must be more. There's what, 265,000 people with the Toastmaster search comes up with. But I think the companies might be the good one. You go through the companies and District 47's there, and the list goes on. Up to what, 100 screens I could go through here. District 64 is there. If you look at District 64, they have some posts on there as well. And you can take these, and if you like this one, you can actually repost it, and I can repost it to my Holler Junction page or my Start the LinkedIn page. So I can repost it there and put a comment, what is this talking about? Frank Perler, wonderful, wonderful club. And you can post it. Now I have actually some content because of that posting. So if I go to my Start Your LinkedIn page, there's a post about District 64. So that was a nice thing. If District 64 puts some content out there, you just repost it on your site if it makes sense. So one that would really make sense is if they're posting something about the TLI that's coming up. Then it would be good for you to post the TLI, or if there's training. Okay. Well, Teresa, maybe you want to speak a bit.
I noticed a question about what happens if you create a page for your Toastmasters Club or a company account for that matter.
Sure.
If you, because a page has to be created by a person, that person, whoever created it, becomes an admin who can do anything. But admins can add other people to manage that account as well. And that's especially necessary for business pages because people change over time and you may need other people to help. But it would be helpful for a Toastmasters page as well. If you're removed as an admin and you remove any connection you have to that page, you're not part of that page anymore, because that was part of the question was, will I be an owner because I was the original owner, will I always be connected to that page? But you're not. The person who created it, they're just a creator. I know that there's some types of social media where if you create certain things, you're always sort of connected to it, but that's not the case with a LinkedIn page for a company or a Toastmasters Club or whatever. You're just an administrator and you're interchangeable and replaceable. So if you're not there anymore, you're just not there.
Yeah, that's what happened with the District 64 one about 4 years ago when I took over some of the social media. The administrators were all gone from Toastmasters. So when you wanted to do something with that company page, you couldn't because nobody was an administrator anymore. They were gone. They were actually not just gone from Toastmasters, gone from LinkedIn, or just weren't participating. So it was quite a process to get my name put on there, and then I became the new administrator. And the thing after that is just make sure you name someone that's going to be active for a while to act as the administrator and has access. What do we got here?
That is really important. And it's the case for Facebook pages too, that you need to make sure that you have somebody who can who can be responsible for it. They don't have to be part of the club anymore, but they have to be at least willing to be there and maybe be willing to put somebody else on when necessary. But yeah, I'm glad you got access to it again.
Yeah, well, it took a little bit there's a few things that are tough like that. You send affidavits, and so that answers, I think, Kim's question. Can you move the company page to another person? You just make another person the administrator. And Teresa, Kim, but will I, as the original owner, always be connected even after I leave Toastmasters? Yeah, it's a LinkedIn page. It has nothing to do with Toastmasters. It's a LinkedIn page, and you will always have access to the LinkedIn page whether you're a Toastmaster or not. But should you give the page up once you're gone from Toastmasters, probably you should give it to another Toastmaster. Connie, Lloyd, can you have a company page connected to more than one person? Oh yeah, you can have like 10 administrators if you want. Yeah, I think that answers your question, Connie. You can have, how do you add admins? Oh, that was easy. I think I know the answer to that question. It's just this screen drives me nuts.
It's super easy as long as you're connected to the, like it helps if you're connected to the person, but you don't even have to be connected to the person.
Well, they're actually, the first thing they asked here, did you want to add administrators? There's
Yep.
probably
It's very, very easy.
Add an admin right there. Just add the admin and then you have to find some. Alfred Kerperin looks like he could use a job.
I do have a hint for this. Every person on LinkedIn, just like with Facebook, you have a unique link for your name with a code and all that stuff. You can share that code, like your link to your LinkedIn page, with whoever is doing the admins for that page. And then even if they're not your friend, not a friend, that's not what's called on LinkedIn, but even if you're not connected to them on LinkedIn, then all you have to do is just use that page, you know, their profile link, and you'll be able to find the person very easily. It's super easy.
So when I just did that, I made Alfred the admin now. And it's probably easy to remove him too, right? There he's gone.
Lloyd, but Lloyd, aren't you linked to Alfred already? Isn't he in part of your network?
No,
okay.
No, I was just
Thanks.
following
I just wanna make
Alfred.
sure.
I was just following Alfred. This account I set up here, as I said, I was in there for over a decade, and I deleted the account last year because I don't need it anymore. So when I set up the account, I've got no connections, I don't think, anymore. When I go into here, Lloyd, my network connections, so I've got 2 connections, Laura Potts and Marvin Henry.
Yeah, I was just thinking with what Teresa said, that you don't have to have a link or connection to the person. I was just wondering if you, I just wanted to make sure using Alfred as a demonstration.
Yeah. So apparently
shows what she was saying.
I just have to know he exists, I guess.
If somebody wants to become an admin for you and you're not connected to them on LinkedIn, ask them to go to their LinkedIn profile and get their link to their page and share it with you. And
awesome.
then
Thank you, Teresa.
Right, and then that's how you can find them.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
So I put the link to my website where I have that PowerPoint parked if you're interested in having a PowerPoint. And that would be good. Whoever was asking about. Yeah, anyway. Any other questions? I don't see any in the chat right now.
Yeah, I think it was Patrick that was asking about the PowerPoint, Lloyd.
Yeah, it's a good example, Patrick. You can use it. I've been playing all sorts of things with, like putting the truck on the screen and having it go off. It's. I had another website all designed, and I thought it wasn't really in good taste. It just irritated me that Toastmasters tells you not to use cartoons, and then their first example is a cartoon. Disappointing. Well, June, I believe that be it.
Fantastic, Lloyd. Thank you very much. You will also be receiving a gift in the mail for your time and presentation today. And now I would like to ask if our Club Growth Director, Stephen Bryden, would like to say a few closing remarks.
Sure. Thank you, June. So the one thing that I just want to mention, we heard some awesome presentations, giving us tangible ideas and tangible things that we can take away and put into practice. And one thing I just want to remind that the Toastmasters International Envisioned Future is to be the first choice provider of dynamic, high value, experiential communication and leadership skills development. So what does that mean? It means that we really need to embrace that learn by doing. And that means jumping in, trying things out, experimenting, building new skills, failing fast as needed, trying again, and of course, doing it even better the next time. So I really hope to encourage that everyone will take some of these ideas away and try to implement them and embrace that learn by doing experience. Thank you, June.
Thank you, Stephen. What an amazing afternoon filled with great information. At this time, I would like to ask if our past district director, Alfred Kirprin, would like to say a few things. You're muted, Alfred.
Yeah. Hey, that's putting somebody on the spot. But as hopefully everybody on this call has learned a lot. Like I had no idea that LinkedIn was that far-fetching, that with the ideas Brittany brought, we all need to implement those simply because we all are members of clubs that would like to have more members. We all have, like my two clubs that I belong to, 11 and 15 members. In order to become distinguished, we need 16 and 19. So there's a lot of things that we should take home from this and implement simply because it works. We just have to make sure that we're using it. So fellow Toastmasters, use the information that you learned this afternoon and embrace it. So with that in mind, I thank you. I thank all speakers as well as the Selkirk Toastmasters for presenting such a wonderful Winter TLI.
Thank you, Alfred. The presentations today have been amazing. We have less than 5 months left now to get our numbers up there. And at this point in time, I'm going to ask our program quality director, to David Storey, to say a few closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, June. First of all, I want to congratulate Selkirk on an excellent Toastmasters Leadership Institute that you put on today. I enjoyed every one of the speakers. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And again, this happens with a lot of hard work and a lot of cooperation. But what you're learning today, when you implement it, gets those new members to your door. What you do once they're at the door is the main thing that we've been doing for years. So just remember that. Everything you've learned today, you put it into practice, is going to bring them to your club. Keeping them there is going to be up to your club and how you run your programs, going back to the program quality things that I talked about in the club quality earlier. So thank you very much for TLI. We're going to make sure that this gets up on the website, and I'll be sending it to Adam for posting, and we'll do it from there. And on behalf of Michael and the rest of the trio, have yourselves a great weekend, and let's go. We got 5 months left to be distinguished. I believe in all of you. Thank you.